Good evening, all. Welcome to the March 12th open session meeting of the Ayer Planning Board.
Good evening.
Good evening, all. I'd like to call the meeting to order, as I believe it's 6:15-ish. Ooh, we're late. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
So moved.
Thank you. Seconded. Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the agenda? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the minutes from February 25th. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes,
Motion
please?
to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yep. There's a typo on page 3, just a minor thing. Second paragraph. Mr. Borden stated he had talked to Mr. Archambault in regard to the road length and left that. I think it's just felt. Just simple thing. That's it.
I actually had, I put a question mark on that paragraph, so I couldn't figure out what it meant. Yes. Technology gets us in. Any other changes or improvements? There being none, all in favor of accepting the minutes? As amended?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Did you bring an actual copy with you? You want me to sign the draft copy?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's not. Excuse me, I didn't bring it. Never mind. We'll take care of it later. Fantastic. We're going to jump on a public hearing for the special permit application for 21 Westford Road, Atlantic Concrete. We got folks here from Atlantic.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Did you need anything else?
I'm sorry?
The public hearing.
Yes.
Here.
Oh,
I'm not the clerk.
that's true. We don't have a clerk. May I?
It won't be another thing.
Planning Board special permit for 21 Westford Road. The Town of Ayer Planning Board will hold a public hearing at 6:15 p.m. on Tuesday, March 12, 2019, in the first floor meeting room of Town Hall, 1 Main Street, Ayer, Mass. 01432, regarding the application of North Atlantic Concrete for property located at 21 Westford Road. The applicant is seeking a special permit from the Ayer zoning bylaw, section 8.1.4.c 1 and 3, to construct an accessory building in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District in an existing impervious area. Application and plans can be viewed at the Planning Board and Town Clerk's offices during their business hours. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed plan should appear at the time and place designated or provide written comment by March 8, 2019 to the Ayer Planning Office, signed the Ayer Planning Board. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'll give a short preface to the case since this is a case that goes way, way, way back to January of 2019.
A very cold day.
Or December, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yep, so the proposal is for an accessory structure that is in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District, hence the need for a special permit from the Planning Board. Back in January, when it was apparent that due to, I think, the snowstorms and lack of a quorum, we were able to act on the site plan aspect of the application, but not on the special permit part of the application. So back on January 22nd, January 22, the Planning Board approved the site plan with 2 conditions. The first condition was no items may be stored within the proposed storage building until the Planning Board grants a special permit for Section 8.14C1 of the Ayer zoning bylaw for the Aquifer Protection Overlay District. Condition number 2, no hazardous materials shall be stored nor cleaning operations involving solvents and other hazardous materials be conducted either within or in the vicinity of the storage building, and that was approved unanimously. So there are no additional findings or recommendations for the special permit per se. Actually, yeah, there are some findings that I would like to read into the record, but no conditions, I should say, that would go with the special permit that weren't addressed at the site plan level. Section 3.4 of the Ayer zoning bylaw lists the criteria for special permits. This applies for all special permits. Number one is social, economic, and community needs, which are served by the proposal. And this is in my staff report that goes back to January. Planning board finds that the social, economic, and community benefits of the proposal outweigh any negative impacts. Finding number two, traffic flow and safety, including parking and loading. Planning board finds that the proposed accessory building will have negligible impacts on traffic flow, safety, parking, and loading. Number three, adequacy of utilities and other public services. The planning board finds that the proposal will have no negative impacts on utilities and public services. Number four, neighborhood character and social structures. Planning board finds that the proposal will not have any negative impacts on neighborhood character and social structures. Number five, impacts on the natural environment. Planning board finds that granting the special permit for the proposed accessory building will not have a negative impact on the groundwater present in the aquifer beneath the site, provided that the conditions of the January 22nd, 2019 special site plan approval, are adhered to. And number six, potential fiscal impact, including impact on town services, tax base, and employment. And I wrote, planning board finds that the granting of the special permit will not have a negative impact on town services, the tax base, and employment. So those are the findings that the planning board should make before acting on the special permit approval. But since this is a public hearing, we should see if there's any public comments after the applicant adds anything else that, I may not have.
Good evening, Bruce Ringwald from Goldsmith Press and Ringwald, GPR. Here representing North Atlantic Concrete. As Mark has explained, it's pretty straightforward. The building is going up in an area that was impervious due to the stack of materials on the ground that were there before. We're trying to get them inside. What we are doing here is, with the construction of this roughly 30 by 50 building, the roof water under stormwater management is clean water, and we've provided a stone diaphragm, which is shown in the lower left corner of the plan here, for recharge. So the runoff from the roof down either side of this building will get to recharge into the ground. It's when we were out there, you saw from the foundation hole that was dug back in January that it's all sandy soil, so this will give it, introduction into the ground and allow for it to recharge. So it's going to be adding some recharge into the aquifer area that is not there currently. Other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Foundation's in, slab's not, building's not up, so we haven't violated any of the special permit conditions previously put upon us, and we hope to close this evening and move forward.
Thank you. Discussion, comments? Do we have anybody here? Might be the fastest one we've ever done.
Well, we've only had 3 starts, so.
Right. Look, it was cold. It was dark. It's springtime. It's a new opportunity.
It's a new thing.
It's a new opportunity. Any comments from the board? Entertain a motion.
Yeah, if I would just,
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, whoever makes a motion, then make the motion with the findings as read into the record and as described in the staff report that I just read. That's all.
So I would entertain a motion with the findings read by the staff in the staff report.
I'd like to entertain a motion to accept special permit as described under staff report number 3-B with the findings as read into the record by the town planner under section 3.4 special permit, etc.
Is that a motion? Do we have a second? Any discussion?
Do we need to refer to the drawing?
I was thinking about that, but I can't actually read the date on it.
I'm sorry, what's that?
We'd like to get to the date on the
reference
current
the date
drawing,
of the-
if you don't mind.
One second, I have a paper copy right here. So the date in the drawing is revised, well, the date in the drawing is December 18, revised January 8, 2019.
And it has not changed since then, Bruce?
Negative.
Fantastic. I just couldn't read it. I've discovered that my eyesight's changing once again. Okay, any further discussion?
I think it's good. I'd like to make a motion that we amend the existing motion to add the reference to the drawing revised date of January 8th, 2019. So we tied in the.
Will you agree to that, Mr. Hines?
Yes, so I motion to, pardon me, to accept the special permit as outlined staff report number 3B with the conditions as read into the record by findings, sorry, not conditions, findings read into the record by Mark Archambault, and with consideration that we're talking about the, what's that? Referencing engineering drawings dated January 8th, 2019.
Let's get it right. December of
sorry.
2018. Revised January 8th,
Revised.
January
8th.
2019, thank you.
We're going to make it as complicated as we can, Bruce.
I'm
with you. No, I'm with you.
Get there.
I'm with you on it.
We're going to change it. We might as well get it changed right.
So we have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Enjoy your shed.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just gonna.
I hope we're all invited to the ribbon cutting.
Sir. Thank you. All set?
Yep, I just want two files. Now you're all set.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. To continued preliminary subdivision review for Shaker Road, 23 lots. Excuse me, is it Aho Development?
Yes.
Thank you. You should probably know that by now.
What would you say? No, I'm thinking.
Been in other countries, speak too many different languages.
Oh, sure. That's a smart sounding answer.
It's someone's name.
Not that hard, trust me.
It's actually someone's name, and I want to get it right.
Finish.
Which is not hard. One of the easiest ones.
The fewer the letters, the higher the opportunity to make a mistake.
You're gonna see my name happening.
Can I say enter and sign in, please?
I like this. Sorry.
Okay. I will give a brief overview of the preliminary subdivision plan that's before us on Shaker Mill Pond. Okay. Back at the last planning board meeting, the planning board decided not to grant a waiver to the 500-foot road length, but we indicated to the applicant that we would entertain the possibility of a road length between 500 feet and 1,050 feet, which was the original proposal. And since then, the Conservation Commission has also completed its conservation analysis per the section 10.1 of the air zoning bylaw, the OSRD section. And the applicant is prepared two options to address the concerns of the planning board. One is concept plan B, which is not that one, that's C. Since I've been having trouble with the, I'll just stand up and indicate what the options are. Well, Mr. Boardman can show.
You talk,
All right, you talk, you show? Okay. There's one option called option B, which has basically the same number of units as proposed in the original plan, with a cul-de-sac which is roughly 780 feet long. One way that I found that is easy way to distinguish between the two different options is that the large boulder in option B is to the north of the road. Well, actually, to the south of the road. I'm looking at the wrong one. Yes. In option B, the boulder landmark is to the south of the cul-de-sac. Yes.
But we're gonna see up there.
I know. I was having,
Want to see up there? Okay.
not yet. I'm leaving C up there because C is my preferred option, which I was going to speak to a little more, and I don't want to spend 5 minutes messing with that thing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm following.
All right. Okay. Then there's an option C, that Mr. Boardman is going to, in which the boulder is on the north side. This road is approximately 750 feet long, slightly shorter than option B. It also features what I consider a innovative stormwater feature, which is a bioretention garden in the middle of the island right there, which I think could be potentially a good way to handle the stormwater. My preference as a planner and seeing the conservation analysis is option C. However, this is the board's decision. For a few reasons. One is the road is slightly shorter. Two, it better meets the needs of the conservation analysis, which is the conservation analysis indicates that the land of highest conservation priority is the land along the pond itself within the 100-foot wetland buffer. Now, if you look at the conservation analysis map prepared by the Conservation Commission, they do indicate some priority areas along the interior wetlands to the south here. However, I would say that as far as a preliminary subdivision plan is concerned, we don't need to decide on all of the details for a preliminary plan, like engineering factors, wetland factors, DPW review of this probably will end up tweaking the exact locations of the two common driveway spurs that come off of the main subdivision road going to the south that surround that wetland. So, in my view, we don't have to, make sure that the subdivision is exactly perfect according to everybody's concerns at this stage. I think with a preliminary plan, we're giving guidance to the applicant as to what sort of road length we would be willing to consider, any other waivers that are needed that we would consider, and the general concept of the layout of the plan. And again, if you could go back to option B, one reason why I favor option C is that option B does intrude a little bit more into the buffer zone of the Shaker Mill Pond itself. So, in the original plan that was submitted, he provided 74% of the entire tract as open space, which exceeds the 50 that we need. So, it's my understanding the applicant has not prepared brand new calculations for everything, but given the fact that we were so far over the minimum open space requirement, I think they would have no problem meeting that with either Plan B or C. So that's basically all I have to say on that. Our job here is to give some direction to the applicant so we can prepare a definitive plan. And at that point, we can talk more about the common driveway locations and tweaking the exact features.
Can we discuss? We have to have a motion before discussion.
This is an ongoing meeting.
It's a discussion.
It's a discussion.
The Conservation Committee really made a very sharp point about preserving the 100-foot buffer for the main pond. And that's why, clearly C is best of it. And we get that. And they also described, just because of the stubbornness of the drop-off and some of the other topographical features, that would be a runoff water problem. And I like the way that the C resolves that. I think the Conservation Commission recognizes that the other area of concern, that little one, they recognize that's a marginal, it's like, maybe an ideal preserve, but after all, it is a man-made feature. It's not the important thing as much as the pond. And I think preserving the pond is number one.
C.
I'll just take 2 minutes and flip through if you don't mind.
No, please do.
What's up there at the moment is the original filing, and the second one's a shout out, because I really appreciate the technical plan, which I don't think anybody really liked.
We like the name, John. We like
Thank
it.
Joanne for that. So, and as Mark pointed out, this is essentially let me see. Oh, this one Mark skipped over. There was discussion about the number of units and how it would look if we maximize them 32 or 33, I've already forgotten, that's all.
33.
Units. So this is what, utilizing basically the same footprint of area. We've rotated the units 90 degrees. You get a whole different feel. You're going to drive through and look at garage doors. That's not what the client is interested in building. But for you to understand it is possible, and that's what it would look like. I wanted to put that together and make sure that, yes, you did see that. And then, as Mark said, flipping through to B, it's the same road as the subdivision that was filed. I didn't move the location. I just pulled the cul-de-sac back. It ends up with a road accessing the golf course and 2 common driveways, each with, 3 housing units off of the common driveway. Other than that, it's not that much different. The houses on the lake side are basically inside the 100-foot buffer zone, but outside the 50-foot buffer zone.
Right.
So that's your impact level, is the 50-foot buffer. And the same thing on the other side. I mean, the original direction I got from the commission last year, before we filed anything, was try and maintain the 50-foot buffer zone everywhere you can. So this design that was submitted in this one basically resulted by, all right, let's split the difference between the two, fit through there, and try and honor that 50 feet on both sides. That was the first direction I was given. Since that, I think, as we talked about, that's changed. And, while they're interested in protecting all the wetlands, the pond is, as you said, should be the #1 item. And what was dug out and has now become a wetlands really is not as high a priority. But I would point out, so that you do understand, I mean, this road is basically right up against the edge of the wetlands. But that's where the gravel path is today.
That's what it is now.
So it's not going to be that much different at the end of the day. We have 1, 2, 3 common driveways. I'm working well within the 100-foot buffer zone, within the 50-foot buffer zone, and actually in some places I'm cooking about the 25-foot buffer zone. So much more dramatic impact in this location, but this line over here is the 100-foot buffer zone, and I'm barely getting into it. And by the time we start shifting everything around, we'll try and get as much as we can. So I think that does provide some definite improvements. The only thing I don't like about this plan, from an aesthetic standpoint, is you've got an access road to the golf course and a common driveway running parallel to it.
Yep.
And that's basically dictated by the length of the road. I think the main improvements on this plan as opposed to what was submitted in the other plans are the fact that the road has been relocated from this side of the boulder to this side of the boulder. To be honest, I don't think shortening the road makes any improvements on this particular plan. And this plan could also be done in the exact same as the original, extending up to a cul-de-sac here and eliminating this double barrel. So if the real improvements on this are based on shifting the road to the other side of the boulder, then I guess I would ask you just to consider. I know Mark's letter talks about putting a hard and fast limit on the length of the road. Is this where you want the cul-de-sac to end? Or do you want to have come up here and eliminate this strange common driveway configuration and the access road that goes to the golf course? And that would bring us down to 1, 2 common driveways. And then this one just was was using the space appropriately. So these 3 are on a shared common driveway. And as Mark said, that gave us a space in the middle. It could be a green space, it could be attractive. Using it as a bioretention area, you get stormwater cleaning out of it. So sort of multi-purpose and an improvement as opposed to that original, which I like, but it's an engineering, box all the way down a straight line. So I met with conservation. I think they like C option better. I guess the only question I would ask is, what do we want to do about that road? That's all.
Okay, well, the planning board needs to weigh the issue of precedence versus practicality, I guess, is the way you put it. When I looked at subdivision road lengths, through the town that were approved in the past, there were quite a few that exceeded 500 feet. Not any dead-end roads per se that went to 1,000. So that's one issue to consider. However, in the case of the subdivision, you have an existing pathway, you might say. It might not be an official road that exists now. So, you might argue that the damage was done, so to speak, as far as, having that area. But
So, this being a preliminary drawing, or preliminary plan, is the intent to actually make both those impervious? The road from the cul-de-sac over the golf course, and
I don't think we made a determination as to what the road to the golf course would be. I kind of had it in my head that pavement would make sense from a maintenance sound standpoint. We also have to look at a cost standpoint, and then there's a question if there is an easement. I mean, obviously, we have to give it back to them current
It's currently-
condition or better.
yes, and
So-
currently it is a dirt or gravel path.
Right.
So it's not an uncommon use or uncommon thing to do is to provide a secondary access for emergency vehicle or not, as it currently stands. So part of the calculation is what is pervious, what is impervious. And in this situation, we end up with, if that double barrel, as you said, the double barrel, which is the right, let's use the southern barrel, if you will, if that remained a gravel or a dirt road, it would give them access back and forth. I understand that the access is currently for delivery vehicles. And we heard back from I know you guys reached out to them about what they use the road for in the past.
We've talked to them a couple of times. I haven't talked to them since the last meeting, so.
Yeah, so, because we are preliminarily discussing.
Exactly.
Okay, a couple of words I can't say. Opportunity is the other one I can't spell. So, in my mind's eye, I don't see that as an asphalt road, as a paved road. I see it as a road that exists for access.
With a fence and evergreens planted between the two.
Something
And
like
not
that.
ideal.
Exactly.
Not ideal, but I guess that was my only, making sure everybody understood that's not all that attractive. And if that's what we're coming back with, that's because if you put a hard and fast number in there that's 756, then that's what we're going to end up with. And I think it's, you guys called it out in the last meeting. It's a unique site.
It's a very
It's got a whole bunch of unique features. You listed them, and all those are reasons that you can not be sure that this wouldn't be a precedent.
You know, I'm less concerned about the aesthetics of a double because I've lived in a situation that's not too different from this in New Jersey, and the gravel portion, in a weird way, almost becomes invisible. You know, if you don't draw attention to it, you don't experience it aesthetically. Oh my God, it's a double road. It can be muted.
Oh yeah, the little landscaping, you pass through the shrubs and, you know, disappear.
One of the things I do like,
yeah,
I'm going to remember not to touch the screen.
yeah, right.
But there is something I like, and I like that with the combination of the boulder over here, north of the road, and this rain guard. You know, you begin to get a suggestion. Maybe there can be some real aesthetic interest in the design of this. You know, this get something a bit more interesting than just a straight road with buildings on the other side. Okay, here we get something that's going on. I think it's a more attractive approach as well with those two items there.
I had a quick question. So this has got 24 units.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. That was in the emails. I
The
should
only
have called
problem I
it out.
have is this guy right here,
It's a tough spot.
because he's right behind this guy.
Yep.
And of course, I'm still on the trip that anything close to the commercial use is a weakness, but that's not for me to say. It's up to the
We
developer.
moved, one of the lots is substantially further, the one that faces the cul-de-sac. That's further than the original submission.
But potentially you could potentially remove that unit, move this driveway over. Oh, there you go.
You did it.
And it could
no.
then be further from the
No, it's
houses.
fine.
It's the same one.
It's the same one,
To a
yeah.
private. So anyway,
I'm sorry,
that's-
where did you want to put it? Were
Well,
you saying?
this one here, it looks like it's tricky because it's right behind someone. They'll have
Right.
to figure out a way to screen it, I think. But if this unit went away right here,
Right.
then there would be larger distance between the three and this one because you'd be in between them.
Right.
Yeah.
So that would give it a lot more privacy. So I think in the final design that the developer could consider, something like that. But I think as a preliminary design, it's a big improvement.
Yeah.
And I think the curiosity of the thing is that we understand that conservation has given us a lead and we'll accept that lead on the 100-foot buffer. But clearly, moving all these houses over here was something you stayed away from originally because you were guided by the 50-foot or 100-foot buffer zone.
Yeah.
So you've found in the field either by inspection, or maybe have, I don't know if you have any testing on what at this point in time, you feel you can build into those slopes and you can build in that part of the field, the part of the site.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's a good thing
It's
to
gonna
know.
be a difficult site, there's ledge throughout, you saw that walking
Right.
around, so there's gonna be
There's
blasting
no question,
associated with it.
this
but-
looks like a much better fit, I guess, to the total piece of property that's had to work with. That's my opinion. But I think you can overcome that double driveway by thinking about how that last unit fits in here or one of the other ones.
And those will be nice units down there at the end.
They'll be
You
private.
look out on your back porch and look
Right.
out over the lake through the woods, and so even though they're on a shared driveway, I think they'll be attractive and saleable.
And they're gonna be so much farther back from 2A. That's true.
They could make that
Being
wetland
a
into a
resident
feature.
on the other side of Flanagan's,
Yep.
I can hear everybody who drives by at night across the pond because there's nothing buffering the sound. I actually think that might be an improvement. To be honest with you.
Yeah, any keeping all that forward is gotta be improved.
Further discussion? Further
Mr.
thoughts?
Chairman, I just wanted to add that I think ideally, this common driveway could be shifted a little bit further out to the.
It's just gonna be dry. It's
Could
just
you
gonna be
though?
dry.
The grading problem.
We can turn off.
In order to, I think, what we can, ask the applicant.
We're
when he
still
comes back
preliminary
with-
here,
Exactly.
Yeah.
When he comes back with a definitive plan to try to move both of these common driveway configurations as far outside of the 50-foot buffer as possible. And also, one point the Conservation Commission made is that the boulder, being a unique feature of the site, could be, some sort of landscape
Can you pick it up, turn it around, put it on?
augmented thing. But that should also, connect.
I try.
There should be some connection with the open space to the north
Yeah.
from the boulder.
Yeah,
So that it's not like lawn in between. So it's as much natural vegetation retention or augmentation as you can do to provide linkages between the areas of open space in the subdivision to the pond would be a positive thing.
Those two units have long, on either side of the boulder, have long driveways and were pushed back because that got them. And before that, they were right up against the boulder. The boulder was going to be looking out somebody's front living room window or right next to their garage. So that was to try and get some green space around it. And I pushed those two houses apart. So in theory, maybe there's a path or an easement or something that would give you the ability to walk to the boulder and then walk down to the lake and back up that way.
And these are going to be single family, individually owned homes.
That's
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
gonna be a
how
condo.
I wanted to end tonight was,
Okay.
I asked that question of you guys earlier, how did you envision this? We had originally drawn them as all single-family lots that would be sold, and then have a homeowners association of some type. But it's really not clear in your regulations whether it's EUAs, whether it's no lot lines in a condo association, it could be just like that in a condo association,
Who would have thought we'd be this close to Boston and that far in the Wild West, huh?
That's it.
Right. I'm not sure we need to actually decide
No, I
all
don't
of
think so
that
either.
in the preliminary plan
Right.
stage, but we
No,
certainly
but
would.
I need
later.
direction on that, or the definitive
Right,
may
okay.
not be what you want, that's all.
Exactly.
I
Right.
have two questions. So I've heard a couple people mention about setting the precedent about one-way dead end roads and
Right.
the variance. How much is that actually a concern? Like, how often does that come back at us, especially where we've mentioned how many times this is a very unique, which I get we're looking at a lot of unique lots going forward, but where this doesn't entirely meet your typical person's view of a dead-end road because it continues on, does that even need to weigh into our thought process when we're talking about how far?
I think it should weigh into the thought process, but, each piece of land is different.
Right?
And because of the pre-existing roadway here, it's not the same as if we had a subdivision in the northern part of town and,
Right.
virgin forest situation.
So it's not technically setting
but-
precedent in the sense of,
Yeah, but then again, I think, approving 1,000-foot is different than a 750-foot. I mean, 300 feet.
well, for what
Yeah.
other purpose besides everyone pointing out the math? Like, I'm just
Well,
trying to learn.
I mean, the 500 feet originally, probably 40 years came back, and that's how much hose they had on truck, fire trucks.
Right.
So
Which
they
actually
told
does make
everybody
sense.
not to go farther than 500 feet, because at the street, they roll their hoses up, they can't get there.
Right.
That was in many towns, has been in many towns. It has changed in some towns, not in others.
And now developers are being required to put in fire services and other things.
Oh, this will have hydrants coming all the way.
Exactly.
So.
But that has also changed along the way too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, certainly. And I've seen some towns willing to waive length, some towns not. Generally, if there is any type of a waiver to the regulations, I've seen the towns will write up the decision in such a way that due to the unique features of the site, and they will list those unique features 1, 2, 3, and 4, we find it appropriate that the roadway length for this particular case be extended. And by doing that, it's an attempt not to set precedent. You get two different lawyers at the table, they'll tell you two different things, but I mean, I think that's about the best you can do.
And that got into the second question that you and I reached out to you. So the other board is was asking, I think we're talking about variances of dead end roads, so we've brought it by the choir.
Yeah, which we usually don't bring that up to this definitive, but I did send it to the chief. He gave his opinion on the 3, which we like best, but that's not going to
No, but there's a lot more going into it, especially for this one, so that's awesome. Thank you.
The quandary that we're up against is because we just changed to this open space residential development. I will venture to say that if this was on a standard subdivision, you would not get 24 units out there.
No, we discussed that last meeting.
500-foot road. So part of it had to do with density under the old zoning. But the density was driven by the frontage requirements
Right.
and the size of the lots and the location in town and whatnot.
Right.
So we're supposedly making a change in saying we'll agree to keep more open space in our plans
Right.
and locate the density as such and make some concessions.
Right.
So even the fact that they have the common driveways would make it difficult if it was a standard subdivision because you wouldn't get the frontage
Right.
for all those common driveways. So I think the case that we stand on is that everything is we're going to have to look at everything on an individual case by case basis. And if we feel that the Conservation Commission, as they've done on this board, and others on this board, feel we're keeping enough open space. That's, I think, the goal that the town wants, right? We want to come in.
Right, yes.
So
Then we can make waivers as we see fit.
So why are we looking at that road next to the shared driveway,
Because they have to
other
get to the golf
than
course.
making the number the
Otherwise,
same?
that wouldn't be there.
The easement already exists.
Yeah, they have. It's an
Right, so
obligation.
why aren't those? I'm
In other words,
new,
why
I'm
aren't
just
the
asking the
drivers going off
question,
that
why aren't, right,
Why,
because I thought we just said that was to meet the 750 number, but my question is to why are we trying to meet the 750 number when we've all agreed that that road?
In other words, extend the driveways from the last 3 units on the north side of the lot out to the road itself and not put a second driveway.
well, they'll come up with that on their own.
Yeah.
Definitive plan.
Oh, make that driveway a roadway.
Yes.
Right. Well, then it's not 750 foot long.
That's
Well, it's a 750 foot long cul-de-sac with 300 feet of road after it.
Right.
Wait.
But that's what you said, right? Didn't you say that?
Well, this would be a either gravel or paved path. It would not be a right of way that creates frontage and access.
Right.
There's semantics, but unfortunately there's semantics we have
But
to
wasn't
do.
it pointed out that the whole point of that was for the 750 number to stay?
Yes.
So why wouldn't we? I mean, it's not for me to decide, but I'm just pointing out that.
I'd like the cul-de-sac to go closer to the golf course personally. I think it
I think that
gets
was my
rid of one of the common
And isn't that
driveways.
what you're? No, that's not what you're saying. Okay.
I think,
What am I missing, Ken? Please explain.
I don't know, because I'm not sure exactly what the question is, but the compromise is that I believe 1,000 feet is way too far from our 500-foot standard that we have as a regulation.
Okay.
750 is a compromise. 1,000 may have been too far. And if the applicant still results with the same number of units in a layout that seems to work, I think we've accomplished what we tried to set out to do, and that is maintain the open space, keep the road to a minimum of 750. You can't build it less than that because of the boulder anyway, at this point. And then they'll have to figure out whether that final road, easement, whatever you wanna call it, that goes to the golf course that they're stuck with, that they have to have, is gonna be gravel, or how it's gonna be landscaped, and how it's gonna be paved, and how narrow it is, and try to make it as less impact as possible, inconspicuous as possible, and then work it out.
Right.
Paved pervious versus paved
Yeah,
impervious.
how that's gonna work out, but they have a problem because they have to get to that, apparently there's no way to resolve that. You have to get to the
No, I need to
people have to
provide
get
them
to the golf
access.
course. So,
That's not that substantial.
but I think we've done a lot to get to this point.
You are correct, it is in the notes.
And we've just admitted isn't actually a precedent-setting moment. I'm
Well, everything
missing,
we do is a precedent because this is only the second OSRD. So everything we do now is a precedent
right? So, but
because it's all the first.
right?
First time we're doing it, it's more on second plan. So everything we agree to now is going to be the first and precedent. But it's not a legal precedent, it's just a way.
But that number is important to us because we want to split the difference.
Yeah, it's important.
And Mr. Chair, as far as the question about the housing types, single family is allowed by right in the A2 district, which is says, in order to do duplexes, you would need a special permit from the ZBA, which is possible. No special permit. So, I mean, certainly if you went the duplex route for a few of the units, a few of the structures, that would decrease the potential impact on the land because you could combine those. I would encourage that, but of course that's not something we can decide because that's a zoning board issue.
I certainly wouldn't go to the zoning board without a recommendation from the planning board. Right. Felt that was appropriate. The first thing they're going to ask is what does the planning board think, so.
Right.
We've played this game before.
Right. We could make that recommendation. I don't think it's an absolute. I think, there's enough flexibility given the size of the land that we're working with that we could adjust driveways, whatever, if we need to.
Other things, there's going to be some engineering work that has to be done.
Yes.
That's going to help dictate
Oh, yeah.
the reality of
Exactly.
the world. This still is a preliminary plan.
Right.
So, for the discussion,
Is that a dated drawing, John? The last one as well. So we make a motion, we can further the drawing.
I think they're all dated just January.
Yeah, it says
I don't think
January
has a specific date,
2019.
but I can initialize the height sets I have and put them in your file if you would like.
In order to
We'll get
guide,
there.
Mr. Chair, in order to guide the planning board in findings on this case for the preliminary, I did send out a
thank you very
slightly
much.
amended report, but I added something in red, which I'll pass out now, which talks about how the planning board's approval of preliminary.
You have one last check?
Thank you, sir.
It's not setting everything in stone, so to speak. Reference to the building. I could read this, and then we could, if you want to add anything about encouraging duplexes or whatever, we could add that after I read the town planner recommendations. This will capture the gist, I believe, of what we discussed, but feel free, after I'm finished, to add any other points that you would like to make. So what I drafted, which is just a recommendation, Planning Board finds that Concept Plan C comes the closest in meeting the spirit and intent of the OSRD section of the Ayer zoning bylaw in terms of preserving valuable open space while allowing the applicant to develop a reasonable number of units according to section 10.14 of the Ayer zoning bylaw. Planning Board makes the following additional points about Concept Plan C. Concept Plan C provides the greatest protection to the water quality of Shaker Mill Pond and the naturally vegetated buffer zone by leaving virtually all of the 100-foot Wetland Protection Act buffer of the Shaker Mill Pond undisturbed. Concept Plan C also best meets the findings of the preliminary conservation analysis prepared by Oxbow Associates and somewhat modified by the Air Conservation Commission. Planning Board's approval of Concept Plan C as a preliminary subdivision plan does not constitute approval of the exact locations of the common driveways and house locations, which can and should be worked out in review of the definitive subdivision plan. For all the above reasons, the Air Planning Board quote, approves concept plan C for the Pondview preliminary subdivision plan and directs the applicant to prepare a definitive plan in conformance, or I would say largely in conformance with this preliminary plan.
Thank you, Mark. I see no reason to modify the name. We should anybody else. I see no reason to modify Mark's recommendation in any way. There's a lot of engineering work to be done. Things will get pushed left and right, up and down, back and forth. So
all the concept plans, it's got the same date, well, January dated, even though you just did this like a week or two ago, 3 weeks ago. Should at least have the March date on it.
Right. I'll give you the hard copies right here, and I'll put March 1st on. We'll be referencing these now in your box. Actually, you really don't need any, do you, right? Just want to see.
Yep.
There you go, I'll give you March 1st, easy one to remember.
Okay. It's going to be in the record, that's why.
as
I don't have
opposed
to.
as opposed to March 4th.
What?
My favorite date, March 4th.
You quit.
I was going to ask if there was a
Nope.
Yeah. I want to make sure we're going.
Moving on, March 4th.
You do it this time, and I'll pay attention to how you do it, so I'll be better the next time I have to do it.
All right.
Let's watch an old pro.
Yeah, right. I'll make a motion.
Please do.
I'd like to make a motion that the planning board accept concept plan C dated March 1st of 2019 from Aho Development Corporation for the location off Shaker Road in Ayer, Massachusetts for an open space residential development known as Pondview.
I second that motion.
Motion moved second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's passed. Thank you, Mr. Ward.
Oh,
Well, accepting the plan.
I should have said preliminary subdivision. Did I say preliminary?
I believe you said preliminary. Well, it is preliminary.
I did that preliminary?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. Otherwise,
Thought I missed it. Okay.
she doesn't miss that.
Give that to her, give that to her for the file, so she's got the one that you referred to.
And I'll stamp it.
Anybody else has a question? So we're good?
Good.
See you in a week.
All right. No. A little bit of work to do first. I appreciate all your time.
Thank you.
And all your effort.
Thank you.
What did I do with the agenda? Here we go.
It's time for the,
Next on our agenda is a discussion with Alan Minoyan on form-based code update.
Oh, you can pull the mine out of it. That one, yep.
Is that everything you're going to say?
what's up? Thanks.
Do we get to change this?
I'll just get my stick back. Thank you. Okay.
How do you say DAPSFDC?
Yes.
DAPS fits. Of course. I would just call it the DAPS.
Wow, it's some photo.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a few additional print copies, otherwise I don't know if anyone needs it or if you all have printed what I sent to you via email.
I'll take it.
Yes? I actually have 4 here, so you guys.
Nothing's changed since the second edition with the corrected
The
page
one
numbers.
that I said, that's correct.
Thank you. Now I've got a copy.
I'm sorry. Oh, this is very,
Okay.
save my printer.
This is going to be heavy.
This
is it.
Form-based code.
This is what we've been waiting for.
Okay.
I'll just say to start for you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much. And for the record, Alan Benoyan, Director of the Office of Community and Economic Development. I'll say, over literally.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Oh, please.
In the future, can you send it to the, I'm trying to keep my town emails in the town email box.
Yes.
Will you send it that way?
Yes. Yes, can I have, I know, yes, and I saw that because I know I have a couple of different email addresses for you. So,
Yes,
okay, so it's
between
just
work and
the,
personal, but yeah, I try to keep the town ones
Gotcha,
there.
thank you very
And maybe
much.
throw Heather in there too, that would be awesome.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. Well, I'll leave that for Mark to do that with that stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's.
Oh, goodness,
that's all.
just email it again.
Quite right, quite right, quite right.
Thank you.
I will just say now, as of this May, I will have been serving the town of Ayer for 3 years. And over the last, I was thinking about it really, 2 years. Over the last 2 years, I could go back and we have done a series. I know some of you, I remember Julie actually being, and I think Jeff on some of my first walks, actually, out on Park Street. Years ago. And I mean, over the course of 2 years, we have done public forums, we have done walking tours on weekdays, weeknights, weekends. We have done visual preference survey gatherings. We, I think, of, so we try to, and we have done videos on social media. So we have tried to, over the course, to sort of permeate and just slowly and gradually. And here we are tonight. And tonight, really, we can't get deeply into the philosophy of the this is about the mechanics. We're just getting right down to the regulatory coding, how all this fits in. And so let's just hit it. It's all right, I think
I can see that.
So just starting off with the subject district, and there we see downtown area. It all looks fine and wonderful from the air, and say, well, that's a quaint little downtown, and fine, and it is. You get a little bit closer in, and you start getting a sense of what we call, what I have come to love, call the parking crater, the ever-growing parking crater, and the loss of, a lot of building fabric that was once there. Around the rail station, we once had a magnificent rail station. All that, it's been, as Jonathan and I had a conversation today. Our rail station, that whole area was wiped out in 1917 by the Department of the Army. For World War I, Camp Devils, and they had to wipe out our rail station because they needed the room for the soldiers and the gyms, and they literally said, no more park, no more square. That was our traditional Royal Park. And this town, really, since 1917, that it was, frankly, ripped apart. This town had to sacrifice itself to the military, and we did this for 80 years. And we're coming out of this now and frankly trying to, if you will, weave back together a traditional New England fabric of once what was a traditional New England town. And especially as you get going down Park Street, we're all familiar with Park Street, there is no proper traditional fabric there. And we need to replace. When you get in this, you start getting a sense of, what happened to the lovely little picturesque New England town? You just start getting a sense of these gaping holes in the fabric that really is, ripped apart and really designed, frankly, for the automobile. The pedestrian was a sort of a marginalized afterthought in all this. And again, we're trying to weave all this back together with the code. I just threw that and you get a sense of the scale of the original depot before 1896, but understanding here, this is where sort of our mobile station is now, Gary. This was Merchants Row. So I want people to freak out when we start doing this and showing their buildings, because frankly, there were once buildings all in here. We had fabric, and it was all wiped out and lost, especially around that section. This is important. This is our Main Street, and this is Park Street before 1897. Just want to make the point. Usually when we do form-based codes and this stuff in traditional New England towns, there was a traditional New England street and building fabric. Through urban renewal, usually other things, it was wiped out and you're trying to bring it back. So that's why you can show great old historic photos of, well, let me show you what Elm Street looked like before, you know, and all this. In this case with Park Street, I want you to understand how profound. Park Street, the whole front end of it here, was never, it was a working railroad yard.
Yeah.
This is hard to wrap your head around today out there. If you ever look down on a parcel map out there now, you'll notice these funky little triangular red parcels. That's because this is where these rail spurs were running. So Park Street, when we go and start visioning, it's hard for even old times to say, oh yes, I remember when it was the down. It was never in any living person's memory.
The thing that's interesting is Park Street didn't even start till beyond the track.
Correct.
Exactly.
So you got to understand, all of this, we are literally creating something that never was. And this is, again, an unusual one-off here and there. So we get right at it. What we are doing then, this is the current DB zone. You see it's in this, I guess it's reading up to you guys in this funky little lavenderish color. But you see here the parameters of the current DB zone, the new form-based code zone. We are then removing this current use-based conventional zone. Okay, it's exact same borders. And we will be inserting and replacing it with the form-based code district. So we are working within the identical, okay, borders and parameters of your current DB zone. Notice here, this is the regulating plan. And by the way, this is hand done. As you can see, I'm not an artist. But we want to do this up front. The regulating plan, as I said to some emails, ultimately will be a technical GIS-based mapping product. It will not be else, but someday someone will look at this 100 years and go, wow, look at that funky old thing in the file. Isn't that funny? But this is a true, and it's fine for regulatory review because it's absolutely a technical thing in terms of we are starting to lay out our transects in the downtown.
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Yes.
This is Washington Street. Oh, yes.
That's correct. You see, it's really sort of. I could go into all sorts of
John Washington Street.
This is, by the way, what you should not do in your land of zoning districts.
What's that?
They should be
jog,
bored. You see, they cut and they jog between a block.
Yeah, that's
Very funky stuff.
Thanks for interesting choices. Can you go to the next slide, please? And where's Columbia?
Columbia Street. Oh, I'm sorry. Columbia, not Central. I'm sorry.
Central, where's Central?
Central, yes.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, well, Columbia.
I'm sorry. Columbia's right.
Okay, great. That's all. Just wanted to make sure we had the same
Correct.
reference point. Okay.
Correct. Okay. So that is that weird, funky little jog that cuts through a block.
Yeah.
Very good, but this is what we're doing. We don't want to mess with these borders with this, and it's fine. We can make it work. So we're going to get into the whole form-based code is based on transect. Use-based zoning, as you see this thing, everything in this is treated the same, as if it were the same. It's not the same. This is why if you look at our use table, right now in the downtown DB zone, multifamily dwellings are not permitted. Period. As we are trying to build a transit-oriented rail station, where it's all about why, and I asked, so I said, why would this have been this way? And my answer is, well, because we don't want to see residential buildings down here on Main Street. And I said, I understand that, but up here is where you see those, now they live, and you do want to start. This is the whole point of transit-oriented development, so it shows you. The old conventional zone is this weird abstract blanket that thinks everything, and it isn't. This is getting down to the fine grain, yes.
So if this downtown, if your district goes through the overlay district, does that resolve that problem in the use table and get rid of the end and
Yes,
replace
I
it
am
with a?
proposing, thank you, for that to be, but now that you have form-based code, say that there's a proper place where that should live here within this.
Right, but it will,
Yes.
what I'm getting at is there
I
won't be
am
there won't be a second amendment required at the town meeting to change that table. It's all gonna be part of your one plan.
This is what will get the benefit in our legal review, and listen, but we hope to, our intent is no, this should all be packaged together and amended.
Because I agree with you
at the
on
same time. So here, just to get used to the transect, and actually it'll be more helpful if I,
oh, that,
This thing.
the transect, so you understand, and you all have this in your thing.
yeah.
T6 is going right, is the urban to rotate. Your most urban is your T6, and as I said, a T6 in Ayer is not the same as a T6A in Worcester. That's the great thing about a form-based. Each one is custom designed. T6 is your great main square, the most intense densely thing. Maybe in a Worcester or whatever, you'd have 10 or 12-story buildings there, in T6. In Ayer, we are proposing 4 stories as, whoa, super urban, which it isn't. But it's right. It's what's correct.
Minimum 3, max 4 in the T6, right?
A maximum of 4 and a minimum of 3.
Because the minimums are even, in some ways, more important than the maxes.
Jonathan, you just hit on the profound key of this. It is the minimums in terms of height that change things, and the maximums we do in terms of building lot width. And what they're doing, they're trying to create well-composed density. So thank you for hitting on that. Your T.5 then, it's just like you're throwing a pebble in a pond. The center is the tightest, most dense. The next one out is a little less intense and dense. The third one out, and in this case, you're not going right to a T4. We are doing a customized T.5.1 for these residential, the actually residential traditional homes that sort of skirt around that were included in the original downtown.
Because that was one of the questions I had is, we have a T6, T5, why T5.1, why not just say T5? And is it what I kind of guessed at is you want to make a transition into a residential?
Correct,
Okay.
because what's next, going to live you live in, would be a T4, but you need that gradual transition here because these are transitional blocks. This would never be recognized in conventional use space zoning. This is the magic and beauty. This is a customized one-off document only for Ayer and nowhere else. Okay. By the way, I just wanted to show this. Some people, and I've been having interesting conversations, say, it's a 4 stories. Ayer, we have to just remind you of this photograph.
That's right.
From this is pre-1872, the fire, folks, believe it or not. In the 18th, we had 4-story buildings here. You'll even notice there's 3-story building because they have great halls. It's almost the same height or higher than a 4-story building. I found this because I have no life, and I actually love reading the big book called Town Doings. It's this thick, and this weighs about 40 pounds. It's all the original handwritten. I mean, I found this. I live for this. I will be using this as I speak on form-based codes around New England from now on because I love finding little nuggets that look, guys. What we're actually doing, we are laying out and composing a traditional New England town the way our forefathers did. They knew what they, and I love this because here I find in the minutes of April 1872. Second, that when buildings are erected on Main Street in Ayer, they shall be set back from the line they occupied before the fire. So they're saying, guys, we need a little bit more room. So they're already prescriptively saying this is the unified composition, and I love this. About 8 feet, here's the form, this is pure form-based code, and that they shall all be set on a line on the front. I mean, they're talking about build-to line and frontage types, and how that frontage shapes that is how we write, that's form-based code. I love finding stuff like this. So when everyone says, what is this strange thing we're doing? It's like, it's not, it's getting back to our traditions that we lost of how we compose and formulate our great streets in public realm. This is the current, say, here's an example, the dimensional table in our current zoning. And here we have our districts, and here we have downtown business right now. And you see when you go across in terms of, because guys, a lot of what I'm doing in this case with this form-based code, my goodness, I think about 80% of what's in this code is actually in your existing zoning, but it's all disconnected and disjointed. It's not formatted and presented together. So a lot of this stuff, believe it or not, is already there, but it's poorly formatted. It's all presented in this way. So right now we're saying in terms of a minimum lot frontage, none. We are going to be introducing a maximum because you don't want these big, massive megalopolis buildings in our downtown.
That is critical.
Thank you. Okay. Yes, Heather and Alicia and I had some good discussions about it is. And by the way, the other reason you want to do that, you don't want one big massive building like on Park Street that's owned by one person and controls the whole side. You want diverse ownership and varied ownership. That's how you get through waves and the place isn't controlled by one person. And you want lots of buildings that creates variety and change. Minimum side yard setback, again, right now it's none, so it's, right now, it's like, hey,
Isn't the state law say you have to have 20 feet no matter what in Massachusetts for lot frontage?
no.
Oh,
For lot, I'm sorry, for width of lot
That's what
frontage.
I'm saying.
Yes, for minimum, yes, I'm
20
sorry.
feet, so that's wrong, that table's
Well, I
wrong.
think that's for A&Rs, actually.
No,
might be,
there's a minimum of, under any kind of a lot.
Maybe, I don't have to check on
Pre-existing
that,
non-conforming is even 20 feet.
because what you'll see in the
You
form
can't have
is.
none. How can you have frontages? There is no frontage if it's none. You don't have a frontage.
Well, no, they just say by saying none, there's no required.
Required,
You
yeah.
can do what you want with it. In this form-based code, if you might notice,
That's what it-
by the way, I'm a big fan of skinny buildings, and they're the coolest buildings in the world. I think I'm going down on the T6 to 16-foot wide buildings you can see.
So you're
It's
trying
real
to,
cool.
you're saying that where that word none appears, that's not referring to the number of feet.
It's referring to.
Oh, it is. It is. by
Exactly.
Yes, it is.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's supposed to have a number in there, in our current table.
Let's confirm that, you're right. That's
Our
it.
current table should have a number in it.
Well, that's going away.
The point though, it is
I know,
going away.
Okay.
Understand now, what we'll be
later.
doing with this functionally, this downtown and this use table will be removed again. The new form-based code, this will be placed, and it'll be referenced to building development standards in the form-based code. So this is all being pulled out of this table.
Right.
Because all the rest of this is conventional use-based zoning. All right, here we have maximum building height, 3 stories. But you notice there is no minimum, we'll now have a minimum and a maximum. Feet, they say here 40 feet. The reason in form-based codes we usually stay away from stipulating a maximum foot thing, for the reason I just showed actually in this historic photograph. Here you have a 4-story building, and here you have a 3-story building. They're both kind of faulty, because why we like New England towns, if you do a maximum by foot thing, you might end up with a situation, if the builders max out, you'll have this monolithic height of building height. This is not in our tradition. There's always a little bit of variation. You can have 2 buildings that are 3 stories next to each other, but they'll be a little bit different. Don't worry about the height thing. Focus on the stories.
It's very Dutch in some ways.
Correct. And if you want, I didn't do it in this one, I've done it in others, you can actually control, saying the first story shall be from floor to ceiling so many feet. The second story shall be, and I can take it, and I've done that in other codes. In this one, I didn't go too hard on it, but we
Are
can
you
do that.
familiar with the concept of mezzanines and how they can
Certainly,
bypass
and
the
that's
code?
the point of it, Ken.
That's
So
why
I
you
just
have a
might
height.
insert in this, and this is that I might do that in terms,
You're required to have
floor
a
to
height
ceiling.
maximum or
Correct,
story
because they fool around
minimum.
mezzanines, and that's
It's done all
right.
the time.
That's right.
Just very quickly, just explain the distinction between mezzanine and floor.
Mezzanine doesn't necessarily cover the entire length.
Correct.
But
It might be an internal
it could
balcony
be,
or
you could have
half.
an atrium in the middle and a mezzanine, but it appears that you've got 2 floors, you only have 1 under the code.
Right,
You
and
can
the
do
building
it.
would say, oh, no, Ellen, that's
You have
one
a
story.
4-story high mezzanine, which
Right.
is a 1-story building.
Right.
So
It's very
we
tricky.
can take care of this, right?
We can take
We
care of
solve
it.
this? Okay.
Oh, I have it up, but I can do it, so thank you.
Good call.
You got it. This is how difficult to get around the phone. Very good. Maximum building coverage not applicable. We do have a maximum building coverage in the code, it's 90% of the T-single building. We don't mess around with floor to area ratios, these abstractions. Never mind that for the form-based code district, and we hold with our minimum open space. So I just wanted to get a sense of these tables are changing. Here we have the table of use regulations. Okay? The form-based code that I did, it is keyed still, and it will be keyed to the use regulations. However, I am recommending, here you see, under DB, 1.3, townhouses or multifamily dwellings, which are the most urban things, right? You think that's, of course, what belongs in urban. Here you'll notice go DB, it's actually not permitted. It's not even special, like it's not this, I even couldn't wrap my head around.
That was a mistake.
No, actually it wasn't. So,
It isn't.
no, but this is what we need, this is,
I think what you mean is Alan was deliberately done. And you're saying, can you think it wasn't deliberate? You're saying it was deliberate.
I looked at that table myself many times. I'm responsible as much as anyone else for that being an N there. When we reviewed the zoning changes last fall, and if I don't think an N belongs in that area.
It doesn't. Or else we'd have to be a little residential around our transit
doesn't
ordinance.
make
It's
sense.
just, it's
silly,
just
right?
so,
Doesn't make any sense.
this is the good work we're doing, guys. All the rest of it is actually, okay, so we're just recommending that to be changed. And the other one, if you go on the use table.
Excuse me, Alan.
Yes. 2-family is by special permit zone.
DB.
Yeah, in the downtown, like for 2-family,
Special permit zone.
it is special permit now.
Do you want to make that? Am I right?
I think it should be, but actually, I do have that.
We have
Okay.
that
If you read my, it is
Yeah,
by right.
that's, I just wanted to make
It
sure,
should be.
but this is the existing use chart.
Yes.
Okay,
So I do have that if you read my supplement. It is.
All right, it's probably a stupid question, but I just wanted to establish this. That within the downtown district, the buildings can themselves be, the construction unit is multi-use, multi-purpose buildings, so there could be retail and residential or all,
This
right?
is,
It could be
by the way,
mixed,
this
right?
is the
that-
point, well, this is the point with this,
Okay.
Jonathan, why, and why there is a logic to what they did here. For instance, here down in the T6, we do not want to see someone just building a purely, say, a 3-story, purely residential building.
Right.
We said, no, around decision, the ground level needs to be commercial,
Something.
retail, cafe, that's what creates the vibrancy in retail.
Pedestrian
That's where it
oriented,
belongs.
right, okay.
So it should be there. I'm sorry, that should not be there purely multi, and we have
Right.
that, and this gets, by the way, we'll address your frontage types, and that gets to your frontage, what type of frontage type. However, up here in the neighborhoods, I'd even say up here on Newton Street, it's a T5, you should permit multifamilies and townhouses, it's perfect. Meaning right on the ground story as well, and that's where you have your student frontage type and these frontage types.
Would you be attractive?
Correct. So you can see there was a logic why they were saying, but it shows you see that's the disadvantage of a conventional zone. It's like, it has to just be one thing, and everyone's like, no, that's not the real world. There are distinctions even on the lot and block level, and that's what we're doing. Okay. Just on this one, under medical uses, this intrigued me. By the way, you'll notice here in DB, a solid row of N's not permitted. I point this out, though, to you. Here we have medical, dental, and psychiatric clinics not permitted in downtown. Excuse me, one of our most successful and long-lasting businesses in downtown is Dr. Brown's dental office. This says there can never be another dental office in the downtown. Or a medical clinic, and then you get into, a medical, dental, an office building, not permitted.
Well,
guys,
professional arts building, I would say, I would recommend it should be permitted.
right. Robert, town manager, often talk about one of the great things that's really devastating our downtown. We have no daytime professional working class. That's why we have no retail shops in our downtown.
Exactly
There's
it.
no market.
Wait a minute.
Guys, you have to introduce.
We have no professional, we have.
I'm sorry, I won't speak in absolutes. We
No,
have
we
an
have
exceedingly limited
We have
professional
lawyers, we have
work daytime.
realtors, we have,
I'm sorry?
we have realtors, we have lawyers.
We have a realtor. We have a lawyer.
And we have, and we
How many do we
have.
need?
Maybe they can go out to lunch.
We need many.
Okay.
You need
Go
many.
out to lunch together.
That's what, they don't want to be on an auto strip club. They want to be, but our downtown is, this is what, all right? This is important. So just getting at the new, because now we're prescriptively laying out this new vision for this new place. This is when we start addressing some, wait a minute, guys, you need to have, it's good to have doctor offices in the downtown. It's good to have dental offices in the downtown.
Well, exactly.
Okay,
You park
so-
once, you go, you get, you
This
see
shows
something
this-
else in the window, that's
And
good.
you start piecing this together, you understand why the economy of our downtown is very, we're lacking on many levels. And so, we'll address it. Okay, so we get right into the code. Deployment. The code in this case is being woven right into the existing bylaw. So, if you look, on our current zoning, on page, you have our so-called business districts. Right? So we will be eliminating the downtown business district from that category, which is these, under section 8. Section 8 is your, right now just currently your overlay districts. We are going to amend that to be section 8, now will be overlay districts in the
And-
form-based code district. Because I hate to say, the rest of our zoning ordinance, Mark told me, Alan, don't be too little. That's right. The rest of our zoning ordinance, the districts, I've never seen anything so stripped down in my career, I'm sorry. It doesn't even give a purpose of the district, the descriptive of it, it's nothing.
It did before.
It did before, so,
Before
okay.
this change.
That's why this
That's how
will
I
not
learned
fit in
about it.
with those. We have to put in a place where you can say, this is a full, thought out. So anyway, we will deploy it in section 8, so this will become form-based, overlay form-based code district. So we started, then this will be, and what I handed out to you guys, I had as 8.6. I did that before, this was my mistake, Mark was ahead of me, he got it, and the marijuana, the new marijuana will be 8.6.
Oh, okay.
So this will be, it's as simple as making it, it will be 8.7, okay? So this will be 8.7. So you start writing the opening page. I'm not going to read all this because you guys have it. This is what doesn't exist in any of these. Here's your intent and purpose of the form-based code itself, right up front. And then you start right off with the transect, because people, they need, and now picture, this is for developers, anyone looking to do something. So this should be a nice, and by the way, in terms of format, you'll also notice a different thing. This is set up in double columns. The rest of our code is not. Why did I do that? No one enjoys reading a zoning book.
That's true.
I'm sorry, no, absolutely. Very few people enjoy. Actually, Heather, I'm with you. But it's the rest of it is laid out in this long paragraph form. This is laid out more, if you will. That's why people like reading magazines. You read magazines, so they're in columns. When you read newspapers, the stories are in columns. It's not a book. So all these subtle little things we do, guys, to make this, hey, I'm actually going to read this. I am going to, this is laid out that I can easily, it's a little magazine. And by the way, there's going to be a lot more visual things in here that are non-regulatory that I'll be adding in. We don't need it now because it's non-regulatory, but it's important. So we get right to the transect, so they can understand this is the underlying guiding principle. But what is this T6? What is this? And understand, guys, this is how the transect works. We describe it well. And then we even, lay it in here. Each particular town or city composes and formulates its own rural urban transect. What I just said about Lowell and Worcester might be 6 to 10 story, whereas Ayer and Reading. So understand the transect.
This is, I just want to underline how important that is. They're going to be to communicate to the people we know that any one of these transects, T5, T6, these aren't set in stone, established from on high, Olympian, and this is what it is. Each town gets to decide what that means for its own community, and I think people have to understand that this is designed for us.
Yes.
Okay, good.
And the depth of the transect, guys, is not only, it gets the echo of what we try to do in our open space plans. What we're doing when we say we have, why do we just set aside all the chapter money for conservation? We have to preserve the open land that's remaining. This is what the transect does. It's telling the development community, if you're going to do intense development, hey, we got a place for it. We can accommodate that. But it's not out here in T2.
Exactly.
It's not where you build your high density, 40B neighborhoods.
That's right.
I was going to ask you
How to get that in,
I was going to
okay.
ask you a question about that.
Okay, and this gets, all right, getting to the big picture and the why. So that's why I think this transect for downtown is going to help us town-wide understand everything has its place. And by the way, not just doing this because, it looks nicer and it's pretty.
No.
We keep, if you develop high-density sprawling stuff out here, we'll go broke. You go broke as taxpayers, you cannot maintain it. You'll never be able to maintain the roads and everything through time. Okay.
Just, the question I was going to ask you, and you started to refer to it when you talked about the open space, but everything we're doing here is in connection with the master planning as well.
Yes.
So that's very important, I
Thank
think,
you,
to push that.
Completely
That's
consistent
all
with
the
the
work
master
you put in with the master plan for 2 years.
and the complete
And the
streets
open
policy
space,
and open space.
it
all of
all
it.
connects.
This is the regulatory tool now that legitimately addresses it and says this is the development. Thank you. No more of this abstract, well, we'll see what they do. It's like, no. It's laid out very prescriptively and clearly. This is what a developer can come in and say, well, I don't want to do that way. You say, that's fine. Maybe this is not the right place. There are many of us have an appetite for what you want to do. We're looking for folks that want to. Okay? All right. Then we lay out the regulating plan here, so that's very clear, for what the regulating, and again, you are now, no more zoning map at the downtown district. You're subject to the regulating plan. The regulating plan then is keyed. It has your transect districts.
Right.
So if I say, well, okay, I own a piece of land like right there on that parcel. What can I do on that? You say, very good. And we start going through, which I'll get to the next step, the steps of how you go through it. But here we also wanted to very much stress the frontage types. This will be done visually, and I'll be getting out within the next 2 days, actual visual, photographic frontage types that will go with our regulatory diagram panels. It's important folks say, show me an example then of that building frontage type. Guys, we gotta understand that the frontage type of the building tells what creates the public space in the whole street that's together.
Critical.
They knew this in New England before World War II. That's why, guys, when we go to historic downtowns, when we go to Concord, when we go to Newburyport, when we go to places that kept that fabric, and go, I just love walking around these streets and sidewalks. Why? It's not the streets and sidewalks. It's how the buildings and the building frontage frame and define and create that space. It's not the sidewalks in the street. It's the buildings that serve and function as containers and definers of space. This is what we've lost in Ayer, and we're gonna get it back. Also, I'm introducing lot layers. By the way, this gets right to the heart of like what you guys, what we went through recently on Park Street with the Ayer Family Pharmacy. You guys said, well, you can't park cars in front of the front plane of the building.
Right.
We have a little funky, this, I think, will make this a little easier, and we'll get to a lot later, so you know what you're talking. Okay. But that's what I mean by so much of what, it's already there, but it's all kind of just disjointed, it's not presented together. Then we get, okay, then you go right into how to use this code. So we want to do this as an easy guide again, so if I'm going to say, well, what do I do then? Now, how do I figure out what I can do here? Here we go. Go in, you review the regulating plan, look at your transect color and key, fine. That will lead you to your building development standards page, which is the T6, T5, with all those things, right? Okay, now I'll tell you what you can do in terms of building height, placement, fenestration, all this. Then look at the building frontage types, and it'll tell you, what range, what frontage types are cool. And then you go up and you review your zoning bylaw, the parking requirements and use table, which I'm not changing, except for those couple of uses we talked about. And there you go. You'll be able to very clearly know what I can do, on that parcel of land. Here then we start right at 8.78, just saying, okay, what is the defined purpose of this district? This doesn't exist in any of our other districts. There is no description whatsoever. It's like, hey, you figure it out, Yes. And I got into these things. Some of these things, Jonathan and I have had some good conversations. I'm going to be modifying these a little bit. I talk right up front, guys, what I want people to say more than anything. This is about economic sustainability of our town. This is about our homeowners not going broke down the road with their residential tax rates and commercial tax rates. To lessen the escalating tax impact of costly, sprawling, and unsustainable development pattern.
Is that your language, that statement?
Yes.
Okay. Just curious.
Okay.
Alan, we were walking, I forget when it was, a couple years ago, and you pointed out that just one corner of Washington Street provided more tax revenue
Yep, that's
than
right.
the same square area of one of our
One whole side of Park Street.
Exactly.
That's right.
That may not be a bad visual.
I will be using that. Thank you, Jeff, for my things to show the actual.
Let's not talk about what people pay in taxes, but let's talk about
Thank you.
show this amount of town where the transit sit
Yes.
provides more in income than that amount of town out there. which is all-
And if you look at your planning, the general government, it's woven there saying, why do we do planning? Because we have to maximize the proper use of our land time for the benefit of health, safety, and welfare of our community. You have to concentrate. You're right, Jeff. This is where we can get the best benefit to pay the salaries of our police, our teachers, our
For
firefighters,
generations to come.
and to preserve our land. So thank you, Jeff. This is it. To generate the maximum amount of municipal real estate tax revenue concentrated and sustainable development downtown here. To preserve Ayer's remaining rural open space.
But I
And
just
undeveloped
think
land.
the visual of a small section of our downtown density versus one of our
Actually, I could even do that as a little visual example.
That's what I was gonna say.
I'll be
Very
as a
simple.
little panel right
This-
there.
Take the transit,
Yes.
overlay it on
Yes.
that, and then grab something like Pingree or something like that.
Yes.
Crabtree, Pingree, something like that. And
Yes.
says, this is their contribution to the tax base. This is their contribution to the tax base.
Excellent. I love it. To deliver improved health and wellness, community lifestyle through a more traditional walkable development pattern. This gets to health, social cohesion, economics, to attract new high-quality investment in construction, through a downtown area, depot, square, and a commuter rail park station, and then effectively more simply regulate a tradition doing development plan, meaning this, look, we can control this, and now we know the outcome, because we prescriptively lay this out in a way that if anyone develops, we know it will be consistent with the form we're after. It's not like this crapshoot negotiation. And then deliver a more predictable building development process and outcome. This is what we're doing. I want to weave in here, though, at some conversations. We're doing this also to provide long-term, affordable housing and stuff, for our town. I got to leave something in also. We're doing this so we can attract residents. Look, and we're not doing this to create this mass wave of gentrification.
No.
A little bit of be fun, but this is it. We have to balance this out. So I need to put a little bit of that in there about what we're trying to do with this. All right, I'll leave it there. This panel is really great because you got to try to get folks understanding private frontage, public frontage, parking, basically understanding how those buildings, again, because of their frontage types, the way they're set together, where they have contained and defined this space that we will name in now.
How about multimodal transportation space?
Bike lanes you're talking about, I see.
Anything.
We can do that.
Not parking.
But what I'm doing is starting off, parking is critically important. Everybody's going to have on-street parking, and that's what makes the form functional. Or else everyone has to have, by the law, next to Jeff, demolish the buildings, put a big surface parking lot, and the whole thing's ripped apart. Got to have on-street parking. But this is important just to start understanding frontage and how that affects the public realm. Public realm, guys, is all this in here. And that, by the way, what this is actually all about. It's creating a high-quality public realm. What's between the buildings, where we spend most of our time. Where I make my judgment, when I go to a downtown or whatever, I don't make my judgment on, let's go in the buildings and see what's in here, whatever. I make my standard saying, wow, this is a great space, this street. It's the public realm. Right now, if you go out on Park Street, you guys want to take a walk with me on Park Street tonight? I walk it all the time, day after night. It is one of the most abysmal public realms and public spaces in any New England downtown.
But it sure gets you out of town fast.
And we have had in our master plans now for 40 years, 3 master plans. Say, Park Street shall become open into downtown. Park Street must become part of traditional downtown. Isn't it interesting? And this is what I hang my whole thing on with this. We've had use-based conventional zoning for 30 years. Has it done it? No, and it won't. This is what's going to be.
Just an observation. If we say public realm, that feels very abstract. It can feel like, well, what does that mean for me? What does it mean to me? And I think, in a way to put it, it's why your kids are so eager to get on a train and go to Harvard Square. It's that simple. You want to go to a public place. It's not about one specific thing. It's about a place where things are happening. It's the public. It's just the social intercourse that is attractive to everyone. And you don't even often understand why. You just feel it. And that's what we want to have.
It's
in there. We want a piece of that.
And linger and spend time. And that's what we don't have. It's a very hard thing, guys. You walk out on downtown areas during the day. I could throw a bowling ball or shoot a cannonball up the side of it. There is no one on us. It's people on using the space. They pull their cars up, get in my car, go into what I'm doing, do my thing, get in my car. Because the public one's not good. Okay, frontage types. This is going to be the core of the thing. Frontage types. And you see it's keyed to your transects.
Oh, right.
What's going to make this understandable, which I don't have yet, and I'm working on this the next 2 days, I'll be going to Hudson. I'll be going to Reading. I'll be going to Stoneham, Mass. Size, and I will be photographing certain building types and frontage types. These will be inserted as visual aids to say, Alan, what do you mean when you say here a stoop frontage type? What do you mean here when you say a shop frontage type? But hopefully you guys are looking at this and you're getting a sense of it from this. And by the way, as much as say, well, wait a minute, these few things can't encompass every type of building. It does, if you go and really take a look at it. It's that simple. And in downtown, you're going to be dealing mostly with shop front type things. Shop front here.
So,
galleries. By the way, that
Is that what we
gallery,
have? We have a
that's
gallery?
what the Page Moore block is.
Okay, that's what we have, a gallery, not an
That's the
arcade.
page
Because in an arcade, you have actual physical interior
Yes,
space
on that,
overhanging.
the arcade, believe it or not, that's like Ed Kelly's building. Hopefully, look on a second, the offices go up over the sidewalk. That's an arcade. So we actually have some examples of these, which is kind of cool. And, I'm sorry.
The outdoor cafe space.
Correct. So these frontage types, I'll be filling those, and that's what you say is space reserved for because the photographs, folks, are non-regulatory. They're 8. This is regulatory. Okay, the photos will be non-regulatory. But those frontage types are good. So then I start writing, okay, my first T6. Now, I've been working with a great landscape architect up in Maine who I worked with in other places, Scott Colley. He is finishing up, and they'll be finished up. I was hoping they'd be finished up tonight, but he's finishing up by the end of the week. You're going to see these. He and I've been working for many weeks. He's actually laid out a whole in SketchUp. It's a very advanced architectural computer-based program. He has laid out. We are going to be having these magnificent illustrative panels of the streetscapes of the building, what this will deliver. When you look at those, don't think, oh, this is just a fanciful picture they drew. It's based on hard building forms laid out this whole thing. And I can actually, Heather, Alicia, and I were looking at these things in the office. They're very, if you look up, they're just cold block forms. So a lot of people go, what is that? It looks like, but those illustrative images are laid out on the actual regulatory parameters in this code. And those visual images are powerful because it's what developers would say, oh my God, this is the place to say, yes. And they can see it and visualize it. You will not see that in any other part of our zoning stuff. So you're able to see this and go, okay, I understand the place here with what, how we develop it. I also, as an aide, folks would say, okay, just to remind you, you're in a T6 there. Remember, that's T6. So we'll do these little visual things to aid. Then you get right into it. What is this? T6, it's all around our rail station, right tucked in there. The downtown zone center, the main town, and the intersection of Park and Main, which is that's the great square. That should be our great town square. That should be the great square you take walks around and all. Would any of you enjoy right now walking around the intersection of Park and Main? No, none of us would. That's what we need to get to. And then we describe what are the key features of it. I won't get into that. You guys have read this stuff. Then, though, you get into now the hard numeric stuff, okay?
Yeah.
Building entry. Sounds silly. The primary door is required on the ground side facing the primary street. Actually, you have that in your code now. It's in there. But you got to kind of look for it right up front. Your facade wall. Blank lengths of wall exceeding 16 linear feet. Now, so you want to have articulation on these buildings.
Absolutely.
External elements. This is an interesting part of this, guys.
I don't even know what a street wall is.
Thank you. That's why
I was wondering. That's one of the questions. What the hell is that?
Thank you. So, here's the point of this. When you look down a street, a good urban street, right? You have your buildings, and those buildings, as we said, create the street wall. They frame and contain. If you lose a whole lot or a block and it's just a space, you have broken that fabric and torn it. So if I'm building, okay, Alan, I have a 100-foot wide lot, okay? We are actually prescribing here in T6, you're required, your frontage of that building has to be built out on 90% of the width of that lot. Why are we prescribing that? Because we must create create that great space with the street walls. What about that remaining space that isn't there? You're required to have a street wall that fills in that space. Unless, and that's if you don't have a driveway or access. If it's just, a straight thing, well, it continues that, although it's not a building.
I get you.
But we want that street wall to continue that, which will lead to the next one. And there you have then your nice contained things. And we could go up to describe it should be a minimum of 4 feet. Landing probably, right around there.
Right.
And a maximum of 5. Why wouldn't I want it 6?
Can't see over it. Or at least I can.
Thank you. The safety. Once you go 6, you're creating a different dynamic on the street. You want it to be 5, although I'm sure I'm only 5'10", I think. You want just enough. So if you had to, you could say, well, let's go. And that has to do with safety police, security, and by the way, it makes the street seem less cold. You have these big walls, it's like you feel, I think a 4-foot is actually the best. Okay, so
For example, how to do this wrong, look at Boston City Hall, the Faneuil Hall facing side, where it's just a pure continuum of brick, 20 feet high for how many yards? It's a nightmare.
that's right, you don't want that. And that's a texture you don't feel comfortable walking down,
No.
especially at night.
Disaster.
So all this is prescribed. Street wall opening, and this is again, if you're going to have a driveway in and you're doing that stuff, and this is very quite consistent with what we have right now for access ways in our code. You know, we want to see a maximum width of about 10 feet if it's one way, 18 feet two, and that's pretty close to what we have in our code, just putting it together nicely. Building projections, again, this is, you know, if you have any of the balconies and all this stuff, we're just saying here that, you know, you can't encroach beyond the front setback line, okay? Get that? Front setback. And by the way, we have minimum and maximum setback lines.
Right, you have to. Right.
Encroachment's the same thing with stoops and such. You know, your stoop, although your buildings say at let's say, okay, I have my building here. I'm at it's just saying you can't have those, you can have stoops and these other elements in front, even though your building is not occupied that part. You've set it back 10 feet, and so you can have your stoops in that front, but not going again over the public right-of-way line.
Right.
I can show that a little bit with some graphic stuff. Garages, detached garages shall be in the third layer. And what the third layer is in buildings, got my building, this is my building front plane. The first layer is your setback between the public way and the street. The second layer is the front plane of that building plus 20 feet. There's a reason it's 20 feet. The third layer is 20 feet back everything. So we're saying here with garages, if you're going to do that, we want that in the third layer. So quite similar to what you guys are doing with that stuff. Driveways, again, just talking about 10, widths, all that stuff. Parking, if you're going to do on-site, all surface parking shall be located in the second and third layer. So it's really consistent with what you guys have. You can park it right up to the front plane of that building, just as we have now, and in the back. However, we're saying here, what you're probably going to end up seeing around Depot Square, if they do some, some people contemplate doing some, real good multi, 3 or 4 story residential stuff. Wow. Where are we going to park the cars, Alan? And a lot of them are going to design so the cars will be parked underneath the building. Why are you doing it in the third layer, 20 feet back? Because the front of that building will not be, in other words, when you're standing in front of the street, you are not going to see an underground parking thing. You'll have storefronts there. And a good storefront needs to be at least 20 feet deep to be functional. So we're saying, fine, you can park these cars in the building, but not in the front. They'll be in the back, and you will have at the street level storefronts or whatever. And then you do it. Okay. Accessory stuff, we want to see again on the third layer, back, and all that. Pretty straightforward. Then we do, our nice diagrams. And by the way, I'm getting new diagrams. This is my old stuff. I don't like this. I don't like these things. And there was an error on this. That E is showing the building width, not the lot width. So that's being corrected right now, and I'll let you have my new diagrams.
Back up to the landscaping thing for a second.
Yep.
And I'll tell you one of my pet peeves.
Yes. Landscaping is encouraged, but shall not extend. Is that the one? Or?
Yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
In the next one, street trees.
Please,
So
yes.
the word encouraged is what I find really weak. Is there any way to make that different so we can say landscaping is required?
Yes.
Encouraged just doesn't ever cut it to me.
True. I'll say this about that, though. In downtown at T6 and T5,
Might not have it.
we don't want to see lawns.
I know that, but
We don't want to see,
Want to see
that's
flowers.
suburban. Okay, so I look at the Santander Bank building right here in the corner. Building setback. The old building was the old Park Street Diner, and that's why it's this one. There's this big front lawn. There should not be a front lawn there. There should be a building there, with storefronts and places. So, but you're right. Of course, we can do that.
I was just thinking,
I think we have them. Their landscaping standards are actually.
we have them in our site plan and stuff.
Right.
Good. Let's beef up the lands. I'll beef that thing right up, and
I mean, if it's not, it's not going to be a lawn, but it should be maybe
You're right.
flowers or
It should
planting beds or something.
if you're going to do it, so very good.
Something.
I'm sorry,
Maybe it just doesn't fit.
Landscaping, where'd you, I mean, you want the street trees, obviously,
Yeah,
but when you're talking flowers, you're talking like window boxes.
yeah, I don't
So,
know.
I mean, I
There's
think
not
you're
much room
change
for
the
anything.
landscape, you think landscape, like I don't think you think lawn, you think of putting a flower bed, and what you're thinking is
No, I-
more like,
Landscaping to me is building something, not just putting a lawn.
yeah, I think it'd be more or less you'd wanna see more encouraged to do window boxes in street trees be required.
Yeah, well,
That would
Give
at
it some
least break
thought.
it up and give you some
Yeah,
sort of
just I thought it was a
visual,
little weak,
nice,
that's all.
green,
Good, I'm
but still
gonna,
walking.
let me really do that. Good, I like that. And the, some of the next one, foundation plantings, or
I think landscaping,
the foundation plantings are the worst thing I know. They cover these buildings with shrubs and all this crazy
Yes.
stuff.
Idiots.
It's just-
Maybe it just doesn't fit, I don't know.
Good, I'm gonna, we'll look at that. And again, so then you just lay out the diagram. This is where you try to make this really, easy and simple for folks. And you lay it on the basics here. So here we have, your building placement. So here we have in T6, a minimum setback of 0, meaning right at the sidewalk line, which let's see, but we're gonna do a maximum setback of 10 feet. Before we did this, when I started doing stuff, we had required build-to lines, the RBLs, meaning this is where we realized there should be some flexibility, and we worked that flexibility. And 10-foot setback in the T6 is fine.
It's not going
Most
to break up
probably-
your line, though, the street wall line, if the buildings are moving back and forth?
There could be a jog there.
Okay, see, that would be...
However, the
okay.
reason you might want to see someone say set that back 10 feet around the commuter rail station, so, because our sidewalks on,
Okay,
there's
yeah,
another one.
yeah, yeah.
The sidewalks on the south side of our downtown are exceedingly, we can't
Good
have
point.
sidewalk here. So if they could pull it back, they'd have enough frontage to set up a nice sidewalk cafe space in front of that, then which makes the side, and actually that's what,
Alright.
because on the south side,
Got
our
it.
sidewalks,
I got it.
can't do anything with them. So this is why, and this is how, again, I'm customizing this as, works in this one place, Secondary, if it's on the corner lot, and we do that, and and actually we lay these diagrams out to encompass everything, so we tend to set them on corner lots, so you can encompass everything in one visual diagram. Side setback, 0, that's what's currently in our thing. Rear setback, 0, these days, max it out. We want to see these lots maxed out downtown, Building and lot principal use, just refer it, to the regular, to your 5.2 section here. You state a lot occupation, lot width. This is, the hot one. We are saying, T6, minimum 24 feet. Pick a little 24-foot building, but going up to it. And the point of this is how big should we make these lots? And I said 240 feet. By the way, I tend to, when I do buildings, lots with stuff, I go in 8s, always in 8s.
Well, tell me why. What's that about?
Builders and stuff, things tend to be built in.
That's true, like 4x8, so that's a standard for a lot of the elements of
So it's all
architecture. Okay, that's...
attentive or
So,
factors of 8.
240, can you just, does anyone know?
And where I came up with 240?
Yeah, just can you show
tell you
a
exactly.
picture, like what a building looks like 240, so
Well,
I
let
can
me tell
picture
you
in my head. Okay.
Our blocks in here are erratic and not
Right,
standard. Let's say the block around here from Columbia Street, right down to Washington Street. So our blocks here, and even the next one, tend to be about 400 feet. The standard block in most of 400 feet. So I'm saying you don't want to see the biggest building you want to see is something that'll maybe take up a half a block. Think of the Page-Moore block.
Yep.
That's our, that's actually almost 300 feet. So I think 240 feet is reasonable. By the way, all of this, everything can be waived. And that's the case. And I'll get to this at the end, The whole beauty of this is for a developer saying, hey, we've laid this out prescriptively nicely, great. Mr. or Mrs. Developer, if you say, yeah, I do want to do something T6, I want to do it, between 0 and 10 foot setback, right? I want it to be between, 3 or 4 stories, great. I want it to be, within 24, great. And others, every one of these I want to do, you say, great, you go for the planning board once, and this is up to you guys. And it's like, you're done. Because you conform with all this. But if you say, you know what, I want to do something at T6, but I want to do a 2-story building there. Or I want my building's going to be, I want a lot of maybe 340 or something. It's like, fine. You got to go down for the planning board and ask for a special exception and work this through as a waiver. Now, you're going to take time and money. It's better if you conform and do, go with it, but, okay?
That's where I go, and I'll say, over Julie's dead body.
See,
And I'll be here at all those meetings grinding, guys saying, why? Tell me why it's in the end. Now, they might say,
Oh, that's it.
Because I
Why
wanna do
is it in the
something
interest of
even
the
better.
public to do, bro?
and that's right, that'd be cool to say, I might, okay, so then buildage, again, here's your frontage build-out we're talking about, we're saying 90%, so I'm saying, we want, if your lot is 100 feet wide, we want to see that building, 90 feet wide. We want it to occupy that frontage, so we can continue our great building on our street wall. Building height, 3-story minimum, 4-story maximum. Building width, I have it down to a 16-foot minimum. Narrow buildings are the coolest buildings in the world. Boston, by the way, has one of the famous most narrow buildings. It's in an alley.
Cops Hill, right
I think it's Cops Hill.
right there.
The hottest properties in any urban environments, ask any realtor, the ones that sell first, are the narrow ones, that like it's a 3-story narrow building. People, well, I love them. I always wanted to live in a skinny building. They're the coolest thing. They call them skinny buildings. Google skinny buildings and watch what, it's the coolest thing ever. But I'm saying 60 feet, or you go up to 240 feet. How's that for flexibility? So no folks say, what is this? You have me hemmed. It's like, please,
Yeah, you got your
do you know
choice.
how wide the Lagasis building is going to be?
Thank you. I wanted to make the last, like, God, maybe. That's it. So thank you. Classic.
That'd be about the
Okay.
narrowest lot. we have.
Also, the other important thing here is building facade window proportions, what we call glazing. What this is saying is, because what we don't want to see down here is, say, a new building built and the whole thing is like this modern, it's a glass megalith. So what we're saying with this is, on the ground story, the first level, that window proportionality, so your building plane, that 100%, we want to see the window proportionality between 60 and 90% of that facade. And if you go to any historic towns in New England and you look at buildings that were not bastardized or changed all their fronts, measure it. I bet any $100, it will fall between 60 and 90% window always. Upper stories, upper floors, it should be a little less, 40 to 60%. Go to any historic town, look at it, if you get, and it will fall. But this is the secret code that the old New Englanders knew. This is how you compose buildings and streets. So we have that. This second page of the next one, we do our lot layer, and I'm going to improve that diagram. But that just shows the location. Again, we're just saying here, for parking, third lot layer, actually, I'm sorry, that should say second and third. But that's just showing that. Required spaces, I'm staying right with our existing zoning ordinance, not messing with that. Off-street parking, not staying, it's just as it is, fine. Okay? And then we just reference, if you want to do that, section 9.0. Then the frontage types, and again, this page I will show actual individual photographic examples, not right, so people say, show me what that is. But here, for instance, you see the T6, we're saying, okay, you could do a storefront, frontage type. You can do a forecourt. You know what a forecourt is? And you kind of see it there. It's like a great building, but its front has a big cut-in on it. So there might be a big cafe in the middle of it,
Right.
or something. Those are very cool urban buildings, and they're creating that great public space within the building. So we say forecourts, gallery, which is like the Pagemore block, or an arcade. There's a good range of frontage types you can do. And I guarantee you that will literally include every possible that anyone would do down there and what you want there. For instance, you would not want to see down there just pure residential block building with the frontage type just being a stoop residential. You want that back in T5 and T5.
I'm just connecting the dots here, and a little slower than the rest of you. But I'm thinking, if you do your T6 with 3 to 4 story buildings, which would include, you would think that would immediately attract interest that you said about these professionals midday working downtown. There'd be actual space for them, and then a smart person might go, gee, if my offices were here, there's a station that's 10 yards away. My people can commute, just go to the station, they walk, they cross it, and there they are, they're at work, and then they leave, they walk out the door, that's it. Boom, done.
We have not.
It's pretty sexy.
We
It's
have
pretty
not
attractive.
maximized anywhere near the potential of this town, and this is it. We can't afford not to compete, and this is going to help us,
We can't afford to waste the assets that we have.
Yes.
Do you have an opinion on the impact of the parking garage on the district that you're talking about here? Since that's going to it's going to change everything.
It sure is. And you all know, by the way, got it? We have a successful bidder. Contracts are being executed. We're building after 20 years. 20 years, it's going to be built. That is going to be critically, especially to Park Street.
Right,
Because
because
we're
that's what
filling it
I'm
out
thinking
now.
about
I have
Park
more
Street.
people saying, Alan, we're going to build all these great buildings on Park Street. It's, the lots are very constricted on the east side of wherever. And that's where I say, well, but then they say, yeah, but that's going to be for commuters all day. I said, you're right. In the evening, though, the commuters are gone. This will be the parking for the folks that are living up and they park there. And the other guys, really important thing of all this on Park Street. To me, this is actually, Mark and I were talking this day. I mean, to me, it's 75% of the game. Park Street right now has no sidewalk on the east side of it. If you want to have an adventure, walk up and down that side of that street with the tractor trailers, man, literally hitting your shoulder. There's enough, when you look at the buildings on Park Street, you look at the so-called Fresh Air Sports building or the Worthingdale building, the right-of-way profile of that street goes all the way up to the front facade of that building. Goes all the way up to the front facade, almost, of the pharmacy building, the old La Cita. Look at the Napa building at the very end, this whole front lot, which to me, I'm sorry, is one of the most dangerous I've ever seen in my life, the way, oh my God, back out into the lanes.
Oh, it's horrible.
The right-of-way profile goes right up to the front plane. All those parking lots folks have been using for probably 60 years away, it's not their property, it's all public land. There's enough room on Park Street, and we've already discussed this with Public Works, superintendents, and the police chief. We're going to be building a sidewalk on the east side of Park, and we're going to introduce, this is the profound thing, that if you want to start, nothing will have more impact than this. We're going to introduce on-street parking on the east side of Park Street. This will change the whole game of Park Street. The whole development game changes now. You have on-street parking that's rolling all day. It's like, great, I can max my lot. I don't have to have a parking lot and everything. No, you don't. Just like downtown. You know?
It is, and it will, because it is downtown, finally.
So this is really profound stuff on Park Street, but that has to happen. It gets the issue between the parking deck. So you say that's going to satisfy a lot of it at night. The on-street parking will satisfy the daytime needs. Now you can really build and max out these lots. Make it a walkable downtown street. Then we go to T5. We'll go through the same thing with T5. I don't need to go through because it's now becomes, that's the point of this. It becomes, okay, yeah, it's the same thing. And again, the numerics change a little bit.
Right. That's
And what happens, it's the most intense in T6, and then you'll notice on T5, some of the dimensions start, some of the numbers, like here, on facade wall, on T6, I had said every 16 feet. On T5, I'm saying every 12 feet, you kids, okay? Street wall, that's the same, 4 and 5. The openings are the same. All that's mostly the same. Yeah, that's pretty much the same too. It's just this is where you change it. We still have the same setbacks on T5, 0 to 10 foot max. All that's the same. Here though, lot widths, I go 24, but a maximum of 160 feet. In T6, we had 240 feet. So we're saying T5 should be a little less big and intense. And T5 gets more into the fabric here of Main Street and down Park Street. So you're saying, not so big, massive, a little more, human scale. Lot coverage, I still have 90% on T5. I thought about dropping that to 75%, but we want to see them maxing these buildings out of these lots, and that's the fun.
The big game change is this 2-story minimum in the
Yes.
T5.
Yes. Frontage build out. On T6, I said 90%. So if I have 100-foot wide, your building's got to take up 90% of the front. On T5, I'm saying if you have a 100-foot lot, you need 75 feet needs to be. So it's just everything's a little less intense. Building height. Profound thing here is 2-story minimum. Mm-hmm. We already have a 3-story maximum, so that's the same, but it's the minimum now that's changing on Park Street. Meaning, guys, we don't want to see any 1-story buildings.
That's right.
But that's a waste of land down here. You don't build 1-story buildings. And the real shame what we've done down here for years is not only did we build these little 1-story buildings, then we took 3/4 of the rest of the lot and made it a surface property. That's how you destroy the economics of these downtown.
Maybe a quick question, but so Tom Gibbons owns that building. He's got
Yes.
a parking lot to the right.
Correct.
could he do an A&R lot, split that, so he's got 0 lot line next to his building, he's got a new lot to the right of the building,
This is what we're trying to do.
basically, right? He's got a parking lot to the right of his building, he's got a building on the left side of the lot, so he could basically split it.
And now,
Next to 0 lot line, 0
I have
lot,
on-street parking on the street.
but he could use the garage is what I'm getting at.
And the garage and the on-street parking.
Basically have an open, they basically have a potential vacant lot there,
Thank you. All this stuff.
right now.
Oh my God, right here. Now you can do it. And the infill
They'll
makes
figure
sense
that
now
out.
because you have parking. And I'll take it one step further. You ready? Hang on. Don't freak out over this. The fact that Park Street now become this beautiful downtown street, people will feel comfortable saying, I just might like park here on Washington Street or West Street and just walk over to Park Street. From the front door of this building to Tom Gibbons' office, I walk it all the time.
Yeah, it's not bad.
You ready? It's a 4-minute walk.
Yeah, it's nothing.
Right now, it's on. No one do it.
Psychologically.
Walk on. It's on. But once, so I try to get through. Like Tom and I have these discussions. I was like, Alan, we need. I said, guys, believe it or not, this is a little tiny downtown. It's only like 3 people, and they'll walk. They'll enjoy the walk. They will want to walk.
Yes.
I'll take this one step further. Why we have no retail in this downtown? Retail in downtown lives on sidewalk foot traffic. There have to be people walking past my display window, or else what the hell is the point? What we've done down here, we decided, no, you don't want to walk on the sidewalks, you want to pull up right in front of, I better find a spot in front of right where I'm going, or I'll drive around right in front of where I'm going, get out of my car, or there better be a big surface parking lot right next to the building I'm going to. I'll park there, I'll get out of my car, I'll go into where I'm going, I'll do my stuff, I walk right out, and I walk into my car and I leave. That's how you kill retail downtown. You want people to know I'm walking down that block, so I have to walk past these places, and this is what retail is. This is why we lost our retail downtown. So, okay, guys, the same bit here, building lists again, a little less intensity, all that bit. Same bit, okay? T5-1 gets up into the neighborhood.
A transition toward the residential.
Yeah, by the way, the building frontage types in T5 are the same as T6. They'll just be a little less different. Okay. T5-1, then you're just getting the traditional neighborhood stuff. And again, we just talk about all that. Most of these numeric parameters are pretty much the same. You can read it. It's nothing too heavy there. That bit. Here, though, we are talking about setback instead of a 0, right? The sidewalk, you're saying we want at least 5 foot. We want, if you're going to do a residential, at least 5. And if you go up in that neighborhood, which I do, walk it. That is the path for the most part. The houses are a little bit set off the sidewalk, usually just stuff for the stoops in front or the porches,
Right.
and that's what you want. And you have to do a maximum setback of 25 feet. So that's a good, healthy. That's not urban. Now you're getting back. Same secondary side setback. Now we have setback 10 feet on the sides, 25 foot in the rear. Okay, so now this is where you have breathing room and neighborhood. Lot width, I'm down now to 120 max. So now, okay. T6 was whatever I said, 160, and T6 was 240. So you're down. Lot coverage now we're saying just about 70% instead of 90%. Frontage build out. Not 90% in T6, not 75% in T5, 60%. So more yard. If you go back out there, that's the pattern and form. Building height again, 2-story minimum.
Hold on a second.
Yep.
So let's say I have a lot, this is pretty interesting. So let's say I have 100-foot frontage.
Yep.
That means the front of my house has to be 60 feet long. Is that what you're saying there? Frontage build out?
Yep.
That's an unusual house. It's
That's a
60
big
feet
house,
wide, maybe. I'll tell you right now. There aren't going to be too many single-family homes in the area.
But that's why it's T5-1 and not T4, though.
No,
right?
I'm talking
I
about
like what you're saying.
I'm talking about his number right
Help me
here.
out. Help me understand what you're going to get.
That's good.
A typical house is, what is the width of a typical house? 40, 45?
Okay, right,
Okay?
yep.
So he's saying if I got a 100-foot lot, or
We're requiring 6. So you know what?
I gotta have a 60-foot wide house.
Yeah.
Well,
Doesn't say that. I'm just saying the house has to be 60 feet wide. What if I want to build a single-family home that's 60 foot wide?
You're right with that. We need to change that.
Part of this could be actually measuring actual frontages in this district to see if that would be a problem or not.
Well,
He's right about saying that
you can't make a direct connection between the 60%. Yeah.
Right.
So we can, I think he's right, I think I do need to,
Can you change that graphic, because the graphic has a problem with the A on it. I'm saying, the A is pointing at the side.
Yeah, by the way, all these graphics are being rewritten, these are not, right,
These are placeholders, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's a placeholder, yes. But you're right, I'm gonna, you're right, I'm with you on that, I think, I wanna let me.
In one voice, you said, I love narrow houses. You want a 16-foot wide house. Now you tell me you want a 60-foot wide house.
I like narrow urban houses setting, but I'm.
Going from 16 to 60.
I agree. What do you guys think of this one now for building height? I'm again still saying a minimum 2 stories up back in there, because that's what you see. There is a 1 story on Pleasant Street. Believe it or not, tucked back. With a big front yard, it's really suburban. It's a suburban house. It's tucked there.
I think
But this
two
is-
is good.
Do you think 2-story minimum? I really don't think they should be 1-story residential.
No,
Just should be a minimum of 2.
Because everything else is
Two
really
is
just
smarter.
2. And then up in the attics you have,
Because I can envision, I mean, this, remember I said earlier about the health thing and change that? I mean, this would be, like, T51, it'd be perfect for, the dental, veterinarian, or, that kind of medical professional services. This is exactly the form
and
that's
purely
perfect for that.
multi-families too. I mean,
Or
Russia,
multi-
because
exactly.
multi-family, which this is where it belongs.
But we're still getting more use out of that land.
Yes.
Do you think we should have a
So
maximum of, do you think?
And I have a building maximum width of 96 feet. That's a big lot. Right, if you
Still a
done,
big
that's
lot,
right. Look at this. But down 14, you can have your skinny house too.
Okay.
14 foot, and then 2 stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? That'll be the hippest house. That'll be one everyone will photograph. Everyone will go with this and goes, oh my God, that's the cool skinny house in there. Look at that. It'll be the hippest house in there.
I already own that house.
And window proportionality, it's not this, it's all, between 40 and 60% the windows in this thing. And again, just the same, stuff with that's all. Yeah. Again, you'll notice the only difference here now, other frontage types. Now you get in the common yard. That's really suburban, but it's because of that weird one off on Pleasant Street. So I thought, all right, porch and fence is really what's mostly.
Yeah.
The classic house setback, you have your porch, and that fence is very important. Remember, Jeff, I said things about fences are very, very important in urban settings like that, to have your little yard fence in the front. You ever walk on a nice, like Heather does, like you walk on these urban neighborhood streets, there's something very important and magical. That's why I do with the forefathers. You look at any historic photos in the neighborhood, every yard has its little, and it's always 4-foot fence.
Right, it's low.
Never this,
Never.
never this. Boom.
Hit what?
Right there. Why? How you doing today, Mark? Good. How are you, Alan? Good. So what's going on? Not too much. Okay,
Right.
take care, buddy. But this was it, believe it or not. And it defined public realm from private realm. When you have yards in downtowns like this and there's no fence, the side it just sort of bleeds in. It's those fences, and that's what our forefathers knew. They weren't there to keep sheep out. As Jeff and I had a conversation about. They weren't there to keep. You could hop over it easily. That's not what it's about. It's about defining that space. Then we have stoops. That's most of what you see out in this neighborhood. Great little houses with this little front stoops. And common entries. And a common entry is more of a purely multi-family building with just residential in it. And usually, you have a single door home.
right.
Actually, if you go right on the Washington Street, the second building up, which very many people don't look at a register, it's that residential building. That's what that is. It's a one entry, all residential, the whole thing. It's a great building. People don't really look at architecture.
You mean right behind Union, right? Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I've noticed it too. It's like
People just don't notice and think about it. It's a fascinating building type. And then I just put the regular here in the back, just for stuff. So guys, we just went
Want to answer that T51 that's hanging out there by the...
Oh yes, thank you. See that little T5 right there in the park? So get what in the hell with that? So that little parcel lot right there is currently where the Napa building is. But what's important there behind it
oh my gosh.
is the single most significant historic building in our town. And actually in Groton, it's the oldest standing brick residential structure in Groton, when this was still Groton up till 1870. Yeah. This is the Park House. It's called Park Street. It's the Park family. Built in 1797. It's back there. It's amazing that it survived. I don't know how or why, in the name of God, but it's been built out with all this stuff around it. Why do I do it as a T5? It gets right to the heart of frontage types. Believe it or not, someday, especially, well, I'll say this, okay? When we run the sidewalk down Park Street, if we continue to run that sidewalk past Tom Gibbons' Lofts and up to the Napa, he'll be out of business, because he'll have no parking lot unless they park on the street. I don't know whether we're prepared to do that this time, but down the road eventually. And down the road, believe it or not, that Napa, that little frontage thing will be, and what was revealed in the back, this magnificent traditional house that has the front yard. Someday that will function as a porch and front fence type.
Okay.
And Ken, you know why that's magic there? Because as you go down Park Street, you're starting up front at the insert at T6, way up by the square. Then as you go down Park Street, it's T5. So now you start up at the square like a 4-story buildings maybe. Now you're going down Park Street, you probably see 3-story buildings and maybe some 2s. And where does it end at? It ends right there. That's a 2-story building, a 2-story historic building. No? Wow, okay, that's for that. So that's it, and what comes, then you're at Groton Street right there, the joy of coming out of Groton right there. And then what happens when you cross over Groton Street heading north? You have residential homes right there on Park Street. Yeah. They're sort of set up on the wall there. So that's a natural transition.
I disagree, of course.
I understand. And it's a weird, that's a classic weird one-off right in there. And
I don't know if that makes sense with the whole thing.
Well, how would you treat that a frontage step if you preserve that historic house?
It's not going to happen in the real world. It won't get preserved. The real world, the development's going to stop from Groton Street and come.
Is that camera on?
Yeah.
Here's for history. Mr. Diskin, I will make it my business as long as I'm in town. That house will be preserved, restored and preserved and brought forth life. I will go to the ends of the earth to do that as long as I'm in. So I hope, and that's what this town needs to do on properties like that. That's our heritage and our culture. And those are the things, by the way, that make a place an interesting place and a one-of-a-kind place.
I'd move the house and use that corner.
Could be done. I've seen historic
Which is why
I know
that corner would be better.
Ruth's with me on that. Sorry.
the owner, the Napa guy, did replace the roof on that building.
He did, thank you.
You know, which is really important, that he's
It
not
is.
letting it fall to pieces
That's
so
right,
it can
because
be
he couldn't.
condemned.
Joe's a great guy.
He put the
knows
money in
importance.
and he fixed the roof, and the roof is the most, that's like keeping water out, it's like 85% of preserving a building, right? I mean, it's
He's
close to.
conservative because he's got a business there.
Yeah, he does,
He's
but
got storage in.
But
he's got storage, but it's
I've spent
still-
time with Joe.
I know.
It's where he hangs the muffler parts.
So what I'm
But he
talking
knows
about
what
is
he
it's
appreciates
zone.
it. He
I'm
just
trying
trying
to
to
think of a
say
zone. That depth of
Thank
that
you.
zone to me should be moved. That's my.
Thank you.
That was the quickest I ever threw a four-base.
Really
But,
excited. Okay, so I'm gonna, so before Alan goes, I want to ask him a couple questions before he leaves, and it won't take us forever.
Yeah, sure.
So, Alan,
I'll start timing you.
of the elements you discussed,
Help me to be.
use the elements you just showed to us, because people are going to be asking us questions all the time.
Oh, yes.
Two-part question. What do you anticipate you think is the most attractive features that we can hang our hats on and go, this is what people are going to get excited about first, before they can accept the other stuff? And conversely, where you anticipate would be the greatest confusion or pushback we have to just anticipate and prepare for? So, best, most attractive, and also stuff to face.
I think the best and most important thing, I think everyone in this town, we greatly value in this town our downtown commuter rail station.
That's right.
It's really the deep heart of this town. And I feel confident and comfortable in saying the current state of our downtown rail station and Depot Square, which was once is disgraceful, abysmal, and it's an absolute catastrophe and a wreck out there right now. It's a disgrace. We put the railroad on our master plan, and the thing that gets hard is, I think, Jonathan, the most important thing by doing this transect and showing what you can do now on that rail station with T6 and buildings. And by the way, this is what the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the Baker, and all of us build affordable and quality residential units around your transit rail stations.
Absolutely.
This will deliver that. It boggles my mind at the impact, what this is going to mean for our town on many, 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 many levels. I think that's the most important thing, and I think the second most important thing is the profound transformation of Park Street from what is now a third rate. Is there such thing as a fourth rate? If there is, this is it. Auto strip corridor will be transformed into a traditional New England street with opportunity finally for enterprise and livability and walkability, which has been called for in our master plans since 1984. These are the two most powerful things. The third thing I'll say, it's going to preserve the rest of the historic fabric of this downtown. It shows that the historic stuff that is here is exactly what performs best, and you've got to preserve every single historic building we can. Right. We cannot lose another historic building ever, and I think this will do it. What people will push back most on, I think it's the profound transformation of Park Street.
Yes.
I think some people might say, wait, you're going to park cars on Park Street?
Yep.
Just like downtown, look on Main Street. They're going to be like, I think they're going to be like.
Well, they're not going to see that till a plan comes in. So it's developed by many, many people. So that's not really this plan. This downtown,
this form-based code will not function on Park Street without that on-street parking and sidewalk.
But you're going to put the code in place at the Springtown meeting.
Yes.
That sidewalk is not even in the planning development stage.
However,
design stage.
Correct.
That's 4 or 5 years now.
Correct. In terms of funding, but we know correct. However, I'll say this: Superintendent Wetzel and I've been talking. I've practiced. And if you have a chance, please Google tactical urbanism. Tactical urbanism, folks. Tactical urbanism. Okay. Tactical urbanism is things like this. Like, geez, we know that if we introduce this certain functional thing, that it would function. But right now, currently, we don't have the financial means, and we don't even know yet how it's going to function. We need to do almost a test case, an example. We are talking about introducing temporary as tactical urbanism on street parking on the east side of Main Street for maybe this summer or fall in a few locations to see how it will work and function as a test.
Well, I love the whole concept of the overlay district that you talked about.
It's not, by the way, it's not an overlay. Form-based codes are not overlays.
Use that word.
They're actually.
Excuse me?
He does not use that word.
No.
Well, he
that's not
says
my
it's going
vocabulary.
in section 8.
No, it says overlay districts and form-based code districts.
Okay, got it.
Know your Boolean codes, my friend.
Okay, good. I don't mind it being corrected. So
I
that's
gotta
fine.
correct you when I can.
So, the new form-based code district. But I would prefer that somebody was really starting on that sidewalk project on Park Street.
Yep.
I'm not talking about chatting about it. This is I've been going to meetings for 2 years when you guys are talking about it.
Thank you. That's right.
The first thing I said, which is that you're going to have to do it no matter when.
Yep.
You got to talk to the utility company about getting rid of those poles.
Yeah, but thank you for bringing that up. We have the wires and the lines on that thing. Right, if I show a picture of one of them, most thank you, visually blighting. Right on. The other thing which is good, because of the parking deck and all, and Weston and Sam did full engineering. So we have full engineering plans on the profiles. So now we have full, knowing the profile of Park Street. So you're right, but we're starting, and I know Public Works and Robert, we're all going full tilt on saying, guys, we need to start identifying our funding sources to construct that sidewalk. So right, it's now, and by the way, this now is driving that hard. Because I'm literally saying, this will not function and work on Park Street without that on-street parking. It makes no sense. So we have to now really hit it.
I thought
Deliver that
John's question
sidewalk.
was a good question. I don't know who would be opposed to it. I think people should.
Oh, people will be. Oh, this will be. I'll have to really. It's because it's very transformative. But when people see the visual register that I'll have soon, it'll really think. So guys, I thank you for affording me this time, but you can see it's a very complex. The whole point of the form-based code, by the way, is to simplify the thing in the end. But what you have to do, as we often learn in life, you have to do very complex, time-consuming things up front to make something in the end that's simple for people to work with. And that's what this is. All the form-based codes, you know what you're doing by doing this? You're doing one massive unified site plan. It's for this area. That's why folks can come here and say, yeah, I'm going to conform with all those things. It's like, you're done. Thank you. Very good. It's because the site plan is done.
I have one final question. Okay, because I always could be. I'm going to sit down. One final question for Alan.
Yes.
If I came in right now and I want to do a 40B in the downtown business district to get your affordable housing, I could do that without any zoning changes.
That's right. Yes.
So your concept of just developing affordable housing may not jive with the fact that we could do it right now for the 40B.
True.
If a developer came in and looked at the piece, let's take a chunk of land, you know, and whatever the case might be. So there are other options for affordable housing down there.
Yes. And I know right now, you know, we have a good, great new bylaw, which I believe is multifamilies and every fifth unit. Right. We might want to do something in the downtown, this transect, in the downtown saying, for this form-based code thing, we might do every fourth unit if you do multifamily down here. In other words, technically, make it, you know, because this is where the affordable units need to be, is in the downtown. We shouldn't be out in the hinterlands.
Right.
They really should
Exactly.
be. Because these people with limited resources, so it's like, I need to be able to walk the place. I can't drive everywhere. Okay, we can't own 3 cars in my family. I can afford 1 car for my family to share. You know, I need to be close down here so I can access jobs, work. So it's weird, you know. And that goes, by the way, with our elders and seniors. It's much better when they stop driving like my mother did in her 80s, you know, who lived in the suburbs, and I saw her life change so profoundly when she was no longer able to drive, living out in a suburban thing, and her life acted like ended. She became isolated. Folks that are need to be done, so it's like I can stay engaged with people, I can walk, I can do things, I have a life still here. So, go and thank you, walk to church.
People do that. They
Walk
walk,
to town.
but anybody, you know, I live on the corner of Washington Court. I see the people walking the double Ds, walking to the laundromat, walking to the liquor store, walking to even shopping, save and making that walk. It's a real thing, and you're right. If you're not a person of means, it's all the more important that you're closer downtown and to that train station.
I thank you all very much.
Thank you, Alan. That was great.
And the final thing, I did go through the entire bylaw, and I think I sent this to you guys today. And I went through, because
Pretty
this,
extensive.
you know, we've everything, so that's all done. I also went through our entire town charter, with all the other, it's all, no conflicts, boom.
That's not mine. This has to be official. This is somebody's.
Oh,
With the stamps on it?
Thank you.
I don't disagree.
It's understandable.
So,
So yeah, I didn't.
2003 or 2004, our governor brought this to the town of Belmont for the Waverly Station. Still not built.
Well, that's not
Transit
motivating.
based.
Okay.
Transit based.
Positive topic.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alan.
I'm getting it.
Huh? You can stay. You can stay. We are on to the town planner announcements.
Okay.
Lay it on us.
The other bylaw that will be presented at the June 10th meeting, along with the form-based codes, is the marijuana enterprises bylaw, which just came out of committee. I will give a thorough presentation on that at the next planning board meeting, so we don't stay here till 10. And next week is a way to get it out there into the public realm for initial comments. And we'll do an informal public information session on Wednesday the 20th, right here at 6 p.m. So I'd encourage anybody from the planning board to attend. Jonathan Krantz is on the committee that drafted the bylaw, as well as the police chief, fire chief, and many town officials.
Yes, and in fact, I'm not trying to cut you off, but a really important thing that everyone on the board to know. Robert pointedly, directly addressed Chief Murray and said, do you feel comfortable with these buffers? Any hesitancy going to the public with these buffers? Do you think they're enough? And he said 100%, absolutely, completely, and that was confirmed by Detective Kowarski too. The two police representatives of police on this. So I just want you to feel confident that they feel strong about it and will be behind it. So important to know.
Yeah, I don't want to get involved in technicalities.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying there's
Right.
real support here.
But yes, at next week's public information session on the 20th, as well as at the planning board meeting the following week, I will give a presentation on that, just as Alan did.
Thank you.
And second thing is a reminder about the Citizen Planner Training Collaborative meeting in Worcester this Saturday.
I'm in.
And
Did you say that? Oh. The
Great,
new
so
one,
it looks like we have a
they
full
signed for?
contingent.
Jeff, you wanted us to take different sessions to kind of spread out the knowledge.
Whatever you would like to do.
But what it turned, so just so guys know, in the morning sessions, I took the two basic ones because I'm new.
Yeah.
I took the
That's
most
great.
basic sessions in the morning, but in the afternoon, I'm taking the one about marijuana because obviously I'm a committee and I want to know what everyone else is
you were
doing.
thinking about it, actually.
You know, I wanted to see what other towns are doing. So,
You signed up.
No, where are they? so I'll be in touch with you tomorrow. Talk about logistics.
I'm actually, we've got
Because I'll be more than happy to drop you.
meetings with my son. Yeah, we're gonna,
No point in multiple cars.
we have fortunately weekend plans, and I'm gonna also, I'll miss you on the 20th next week, Mark. I'm there in
Oh,
spirit.
okay.
There in spirit.
Yeah.
But,
Well, I'll talk about it on the 26th
Yeah.
or whatever our next meeting
I'll
is.
give you a call the next couple of days, explain there's been changes and things
Oh,
going
okay.
on, so
Sure.
I have to take my eye off the ball for a little bit of time to get a couple things taken care of.
Okay, and my third and last item for the town planner update is Mark Wetzel, DPW director, is forming a stormwater committee to update the town stormwater regulations. He would like a representative from the planning board. I told him I would attend as the planner, but I think he wants one of the citizen planning board members to be on that committee, which he told me would probably start in the late spring, early summer. Meet once a month, most likely, in the evening, but that's as far as I know.
Well, that was information.
Their goal is to have a stormwater bylaw in front of the October special town meeting.
Excuse me. So that's actually, I also responded, you may have all seen it, I responded to Mark's email saying I would actually bring that to the board. The key piece I had in asked was when he's expecting the meetings.
Yeah, I asked him day or evening, and he said, well, you know, he can see the point of a day meeting, but some people might not be able to make it, so.
Exactly.
It's
And if we did it,
yeah, we don't know anything about day of the week or, you know, what, no details.
Will the marijuana thing be done by then, you think?
Oh, yes,
oh yeah,
yes,
spring,
yeah.
town meeting.
Alright, so worst comes to worst.
He could, you know. So I don't know if he absolutely requires, you know, me to call him tomorrow with a member.
Okay.
But just to put that thought out there that he is forming and, you know, very soon he would like.
I think you can say that one way or another, he's going to have a member, a citizen member of the planning board will be there, yes.
Yes.
For as much as I've complained about time constraints, I've been on board with Mark Wetzel before, and he's easy to work with. And
Oh,
so
okay.
I think we're all nodding in a we'll figure it out way, right?
Yeah.
Not easy to, I mean, it's an enjoyable meeting, you know what I mean?
Right.
Not as much fun as being on. No, no.
I
I'm
know,
not gonna
it's-
make. I'm not gonna
I'm
make
doing
fun
my
of the
best to stay
marijuana.
positive.
I'm not gonna talk
Oh,
about
that-
the marijuana vibe. The marijuana committee. Is that it for your
That's all I
announcements?
have. Yeah.
We are going to maintain the board reorganization. I'm sorry, administrative announcements. New business. Do we have anybody new business?
Can I ask a question on
Yeah.
this? It's not really business, but just a thought I had. So I'm actually on this board because someone has to serve on this board for the CPC. I'm not saying that appropriately, but anyway, I
Yeah.
have to,
Right.
every time when CPC meets, tell them what we do. there's no reason I have to tell you what CPC is doing. It's truly just making sure CPC is involved with planning.
It's a good question. I don't know the answer for it.
Because I can understand why CPC needs to understand what planning's
Right,
thinking
yeah,
about, but is there a reason why this board would need to know what CPC is thinking about?
So when I now do the park and rec meetings, all their boards, and once their town has comments on every agenda, probably 6 or 7 of them,
Yep.
CPC and 4th of July, they actually ask for updates.
Oh god, every meeting?
Yeah, I can tell you
I don't necessarily
usually
want
not
to
in the report,
of
in the
this.
report, in the report. So if you have something to report,
Bring it. But if not,
every meeting, yeah.
I think if you relied upon your understanding of what's going on with CPC and what's going on with the planning board to figure out where the intersection is, when there's an intersection that's important, we should be made aware of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
not every meeting, but
Perfect,
hey,
yeah.
so and so, this
Yeah.
happened.
I mean, having it as an update is something good, but you don't always have updates. It's just, that'd be great.
thank you.
Any other new business categories, Mr. Diskin, this evening?
No, and I was thinking of what Julie just said, that it seems with the open space residential development that we almost need to be going to conservation meetings, some representative of this board. When the discussion comes up on an open space and they're talking about it, or do we just keep doing it the way we're doing it? I don't know.
Well, that's another thing I wanted to bring up is I am still working on formalizing the process by which the Conservation Commission will interface with the planning board on the conservation analysis and the timing of it and everything. You know, these first two have taken a while, I think, because they're figuring out what they need to do, and we're all figuring this out. But I think we need to tighten, the time frame a little bit, expedite things a little more. But, eventually it might
It was on the
be.
agenda.
Eventually, it might be good to have a joint planning board conservation meeting to work out the details of how we're going to interact with the OSRD.
But when we get to the final definitive plan, we will probably fall back to their recommendations.
Oh, yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Their recommendations on the conservation analysis will not change.
I would imagine if there were engineering reasons for the preliminary to change dramatically, I think we would actually ask them to vote in, to weigh in on it also. It's also my understanding, and I don't want to put anybody with conservation on the spot, but we're looking at doing a local bylaw, conservation bylaw, which would, I think, help the planning board and the conservation commission coalesce a little bit better as projects come forward. I mean, there are simple things like in certain towns in this area, you can't do a site walk in the winter when there's snow on the ground. You can't do a site survey for species when there's snow on the ground. You can see tracks maybe, but no, it's just, there are whole periods of time in the year you can't do it because it doesn't make sense. So,
I did that a couple of years ago. I went to the
we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But there's, we've got a strong conservation commission, we've got a strong planning board, or a planning board that's working as a cohesive unit now, not just the way it has been. So I think there's, the future's got a lot of hope, to be honest with you. Board reorganization still sits here. Without going into having an election, I don't know if Mark, you've been made aware of this, but a couple of board members have actually reached out to town residents who may be interested in being alternates. And I would ask each board member who has been working with an alternate to take some time outside of the meeting and give Mark the name and figure out what the next step is.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Yeah, well, let's let the people let Mark know who they are, give Mark the contact information, and have him make a phone call if you think it's appropriate.
Perfect.
Okay, please. Not to put too many people too far on the spot this evening, but that'd be great. And I want to say thank you very much. I want to say thank you very much to each of the board members who have been making efforts along those lines. I was actually happily surprised and intrigued that after the last meeting, it took about 36 hours and we had two possible alternates.
It can happen, man.
So it can happen.
We need more than two.
We need more than two, and I didn't get a chance to check.
Unfortunately, I sent that question to Carly in regards to the associate members, and if she's on vacation till Thursday, and it may be that she has to go to council first.
It may be,
Yeah,
but
at least
but
Yes.
possibly in parallel, we can work with the folks who have shown
I'm
interest.
just letting you know, it might
Yeah,
be as
figure out
simple as a, hey, next meeting, here they are.
We get a new zoning bylaw, and we end up without a zoning. It's almost like we continue to walk on quicksand. We've changed our bylaws. We've now lost a member of the committee. So we're trying to figure out. We're kind of in new territory, and we'll figure it out. And I know Carly's been away, and I haven't had a chance to sit down with either Robert or Carly in the last week and a half to talk about this stuff. But we'll continue to move it forward. Anything else that anybody has on their mind? I will entertain the motion for adjournment.
Make a motion that we adjourn this meeting, March 12th, 2019.
Do we have a second? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I crack up because you actually have to do this with a motion for adjournment. All in favor?
I just played in my head, huh?